Good afternoon, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to one and all present over here. We will be starting in very short time. Can I request the technical team to kindly relay the visuals of Gandhiji's favorite bhajan, please? We have all gathered here on this auspicious occasion, and yes, thank you so much.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान ईश्वर अल्लाह
Hello, Darshan. Can you hear me? This is Larry. Thank you very much.
Hi, Larry. Good afternoon. Good morning to you.
It is
very
good
early morning.
It is very early, but I'm so pleased to be with you.
Thank you for joining us so early. And I think we were waiting for you and Rotarian Mehtaji to join. And
Okay.
I'm here, Darshan.
Yes, sir. I can see you. And we also have Dr. Bhatkar sir who's joined. So I hand over to the anchor to take the event forward, please. Professor.
Thank you so much. Very warm welcome to one and all present over here. Welcome back to session 3, part A of this grand event, 6th World Parliament of Religion, Science and Philosophy. I welcome all the dignitaries on the panel. I welcome all the deans, directors, students, attendees, and all the warm wishers, and all those who are watching our event online. Once again to this session. We have a very special session lined up now, and it is on a theme, Partnership for World Peace, India's Role. Without much further ado, I would like to quickly request Mr. Darshan Mondara, who is director of MIT World Peace Dome, to please come on the digital dais and relay the moderator's remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak at this session, a session close to my heart. Bhatkar sir, Mr. Mehta, Mr. Lansford, and the other dignitaries. Very good afternoon to Larry. As I was saying earlier, very good morning. At the start of one of the global summits a few years ago, the then United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, addressed a crowd in New York City, as well as a live stream audience around the globe. This was PC era, the pre-COVID era, but still, there was a live stream He addressed a live stream for audience around the globe with following words. The forces of division are using new technologies to spread their hateful ideologies, he said. But the Social Good Summit proves that with solidarity, we can harness communications for human progress. Today, the Sixth World Parliament of Science, Religion, and Philosophy is doing just that, bringing all of us together across boundaries of both space and time, creating relationships for global good. On behalf of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, I welcome you all to this special session, Partnerships for Peace, jointly with Rotary International. I am blessed, to say the least, because I have my guru, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, and Dr. Bhatkar sir here, who show me the path to world peace. While I stand on the platform of my alma mater, where I began this journey, and welcome the representatives of my benefactor, who gave me further skills to embark on that path, the Rotary International. For those who are not aware, I am a Rotary Peace Scholar. As two organizations leading the focus on enabling world peace, it is more than appropriate that we explore ways to work together and enhance the collective possibility of reducing global suffering. This special session is the first step on that journey, not only to propel positive peace, but to join hands to make India a Vishwaguru in 21st century. Also, before I conclude, let me thank Rotarian Pradeep Wagh and Rotarian Kiran Lal Shrestha from Nepal for enabling this session. Thank you both of you for connecting us to Rotary International President-elect and facilitating this session at such a short notice. Once again, I welcome you all and look forward to the engaging conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darshanji. Thank you so much. Now I would like to quickly request technical team to please relay the short film, the curtain raiser clip we call that we have for the reference of the audiences. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, going ahead with the tradition, I would like to request all the dignitaries on the digital dais to please come on camera and let us have one group photo, the digital selfie as we call it in a new normal. Everybody, can I please request to be on camera and with a nice broad smile on your face? Right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We will repeat this exercise once Karad sir joins us later as well.
Definitely, definitely, we'll do that. Thank you, everybody. All right. So we have with us very interesting and eminent personalities on the panel today. I'm going to proceed with the flow of the session with the permission of the dignitaries. Can we please proceed? Yeah. Thank you so much. It is my indeed honor and pleasure to request Padma Bhushan Honorable Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar. He's a world-famous computer scientist of Param, and he's the architect of the supercomputer and has been on a member of Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet of Government of India and needs no further introduction, and presently appointed as the Chancellor of Nalanda University. Kindly grace the stage, the digital dais, to please come online and address the audiences and enlighten us, please. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ashavari, and
thank you so much
to be in this session. This is a very special session in the sense we are discussing now the partnerships for peace, world peace, really. And what else? I think I've been associated with the Rotarian movement across the world. In the sense, I'm myself a fellow of fellow of Rotary International and Polaris Fellow, I think honorary Polaris Fellow, and I've been associated with Rotary movement across the world, as they have done remarkably well for the many challenges which are faced by the humanities. Professor Karad is in front of me now, this one. And the question was that how do we establish the fellowships across the world? And Rotary International having a million plus members across the world, how this movement can gather a great momentum to face the challenges which are before the entire humanity now, particularly in the context of COVID, and an entirely new, I think, field has been set. We have to look back and play the game again. That looks like, I remember on this occasion, the great comments of which came after writing War and Peace book by Leo Tolstoy. He begins with the whole world stage on war. I think the great violence which is set, and he comments that I think if millions of people can come together to destroy the world, then hundreds of millions of people must gather together to really reconstruct it. I think we are in that context. We are meeting here. I've been told, I think that it's a great moment, which I think I must thank, I must congratulate Sir, of course, and of course Rahul. I think to put together a collaboration with Rotary International. I think Darshan and I think Milind, all of you have come together on this issue, and you are taking it forward. This is a great thing. I feel that this is remarkable, because only such partnerships will re-establish the peace. I still remember Leo Tolstoy's word: if the people can come together, including the external forces like COVID, you don't to destroy the world, then all of us, I think, who are set, who have a life mission to establish peace in this world, must come together with all thoughts together and all at our command to bring peace to the world. I'm very happy, because Rotary International is a great movement. They have proved, I think, by collaborating with across the world internationally, transcending the boundaries of nations, the societies, religions, and also the genders. They have come together and addressed the challenges of the thing which have come before us. So I feel that by bringing this issue to the fore of not only the partnership with Rotary alone, but many organizations have similar objectives, and we have here Rotary International Fellows, Shekhar Mehta and Larry Lunsford, and of course Justice Roshan, and of course Professor Vishwanath Karad. I think we have set a great stage now that let us establish international partnerships. And I think World Peace University want to take this step by collaborating. This we had not done earlier, but we are establishing active partnerships by involving active collaborations to establish and to face the challenges which are before us. For example, COVID. COVID is a great challenge for the humanity, I think, and without, I think, organizations like yours, we can't really face that challenge. Today, the nation, I've seen from scientific perspective, so far we have been focused on our own nations, our own societies, and how we can progress. But now the challenges of the current century are such that no one nation can do it. No one movement can do it. We must establish, perhaps COVID has come out with challenging the entire humanity, that can the world collaborate together, like the mission Professor Vishwanath Karad has been talking about, that we have to, nature gave that to a real concept, like we must, I am myself the extension of the entire humanity. I'm not alone. I'm the extension. I'm just a player of the entire humanity, one of the players of the entire humanity. And I see myself, my consciousness within the consciousness of the entire humanity. He Vishwachi Majagara, he looked at the whole world is my family, me, my own consciousness. And it is in this context, really, we have to take it forward. And I'm very happy that this begins actively in a practical way, pragmatic way. Now, this is the challenge. How do you face it? So I'm very happy by establishing such a partnerships, we'll have to show the way for the humanity. I think there are challenges of new vaccines, there are challenges of how to face it, and how the entire humanity gather together to make, I think, such events of which are come again and again, not only now, again and again it has come, and we have to establish that no, the entire humanity, including the not only just humans, but also the other kingdoms, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, come together to face these challenges. So I'm very happy. So let's just carry forward this session of establishing a clear, active collaboration to face the challenge in the context of World Peace Conference that is taking place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your guidance. May we request with the session flow? May we proceed? Yeah. Thank you so much. So with that, I would like to request on the digital dais, Honorable Mr. Shekhar Gupta, who is a Rotary International President-elect for the year 2021-2022. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. Yes. So, a quick and brief introduction of Mr. Shekhar Mehta. He is a Rotary International elect for the year 2021-2022. And apart from that, he is the chairman of Skyline Group, which is a real estate development company that he founded. He is also the director of Operation Eyesight Universal, a Canada-based organization. He's been active in disaster response and is also a trustee of Shelter Box in UK. After 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, he was the one who helped build nearly 500 homes for families that were affected by this disaster. A Rotary member since 1984, Mr. Mehta has served in various capacities such as director, member, or chair of several committees, zone coordinator, training leader, member of the Rotary Foundation cadre of technical advisors, and the district governor. He is also the chair of Rotary Foundation India. So with this introduction, now may I please request Mr. Shekhar Gupta to please come on the digital dais and address the audiences. Over to you, sir. Just just one small request before you proceed. I would request you, I'm sorry for this, but we have a paucity of time, so I would kindly request you to bind by the time limit and kindly address the audiences in roughly 7 to 8 minutes approx. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
A good day to everyone from around the world. It's absolutely my privilege to be amongst you at the 6th World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy. Thank you, Darshan, for inviting me. And I'm so happy to be amongst eminent people like Professor Vishwanath Karad, Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, and many others. And I see Guru U Pandita Ananda also here. And I'm very happy to see the chairman of the Rotary Peace Centers Committee, Mr. Larry Lunsford here. In his latest avatar, just day before yesterday, he's been also elected as a trustee of the Rotary Foundation.
Congratulations.
Friends, peace actually is a part of Rotary's DNA itself. We believe that our organization is strengthened when our members advocate for and advance the cause of peace anywhere in the world. Rotary and its members are mediators in conflict situations. There have been instances where Rotary members have in fact organized ceasefire between two fighting groups in a country to ensure that polio drops can be given to the children. One such case was in Sri Lanka itself, apart from other places. Rotary members also act as educators of the next generation of peace experts. We have a program called Rotary Peace Centers, and just mentioned Darshan has been a part of that, and Dr. Milind Pandey also has been somebody who has been a part of it. We have a Peace Centers program, the details more of which will be given by Larry Lunsford. I'll just give you an overview. We by now have more than 1,300 people across the world who are trained for conflict resolution and peace building efforts. So I call them the peace warriors. So There are more than 1,300 of them, and that is quite an army across the world. We advocate citizen-based diplomacy. Various places, Rotarians are placed in different places in the world, and they are placed in positions where they actually can provide citizen-based diplomacy. We focus on creating communities that are connected, inclusive, and resilient. And we are directly involved in the process of peace by practicing developmental programs. And to me, that is the essential aspect of positive peace. The work that Rotarians do across the world is, to me, one of the best examples of peace. Polio eradication, for example, is probably one of the best efforts that Rotary has done in creating world peace. 35 years back, 350,000 children were afflicted, getting crippled, or they died because of polio. This year, less than 150 are afflicted. 35 years back, it was in more than 125 countries. It has now got reduced just to 2 countries. Just last month itself, Africa has been declared polio free, and the leader who led the entire movement in Africa has been named as one of the 100 most influential people in the world by the Time magazine. So if we do some arithmetic, we will find that 350,000 children in 35 years back and less than 150 now, we must have saved more than 55 million children from either getting crippled or not living at all. Now, to me, that's as good as averting a war, a world war. So this, to us, is positive peace. Rotary believes that mere absence of war is not peace. Peace is when we ensure that people are happy. When people get fresh, clean drinking water, when the Rotarians work in Africa, and they ensure that borewells that have sunk get clean drinking water to people, native people of Africa, that's where peace is. To that woman in Bangladesh who's living on a footpath with 3 of her daughters and just 1 blanket to take care of them, you go and ask her what peace is. To her, peace is that piece of bread that you will give to her because she hasn't had meals. Friends, those acts are actually acts of peace. In India alone, Rotary runs more than 100 hospitals. At each of these hospitals, you go and meet any of those patients who come out cured, and you ask them what peace is. To them, it doesn't bother which country is at war with whom. What rights people have. To that person, that individual, peace is when peace is brought into their lives. I've seen people coming crawling to Rotary's artificial limb centers. They come crawling because they don't have legs, but we fit those legs, artificial limbs to them. And when they start walking, tears roll down their cheeks, and you go and ask, "Kaisa lag raha hai?" And they are blissful, they are peaceful. Not only are they peaceful, their life has suddenly got back dignity. The sole bread earner was crippled, but now again, he is standing on his feet, literally and metaphorically. So friends, this is what Rotary is doing as far as positively working towards peace. Like we say, we make the lame to walk, the blind to see. We heal the sick. Mankind is our business and our product is service. And it's a good business to be in, where the demand is more and the supply is less. More people need service, less people are there to give service. But fortunately for Rotary, we have an army of 1.2 million people across the entire universe to be able to provide service to people. So we take a more defined and coordinated approach to peace. We are now also trying to bring a synergy, a strategic synergy into the different aspects of peace activities that Rotarians do. So there is the peace centers that we have. We have the peace building and conflict prevention area of focus. So that is one of the areas of focus. So we're trying to bring synergy amongst them. We now have a manager at the Rotary International headquarters who's looking after this. We've recently also created the Rotary Peace Fellow Alumni Association, This association not only provides, and I don't know whether Darshan, you are a member of that or not, but it would be worthwhile for you. You are, I'm so happy to see that. So it not only provides a platform for peace fellows to collaborate with Rotarians on peace development and service projects, but also create more opportunities, have discussion forums, exchange ideas, exchange success stories, etc. In fact, next year, one of the presidential initiatives that I'm going to have is having 7 conferences across the world, which are called the presidential conferences. Each of these conferences will be either on water, sanitation, economic community development, healthcare, literacy, environment, and peace. The capstone event, which is going to be held in Houston, 2022 June, is dedicated only to peace. The idea being people from across the world will come, talk, some eminent speakers can come, discuss. Different people have different thoughts of peace. And I must compliment you to have this event on a day which is the birthday of one of the greatest peace thinkers in the world, I believe, Gandhi. Amazing human being who got us liberation only out of peaceful means. I don't know whether it's coincidence or it was done on purpose, but I find it a very, very interesting coincidence. So this conference, as I was mentioning, is going to focus mainly on the work of peace and, more importantly, positive peace. As I said, not having wars is not peace. That's a negative way of looking at it. In contrast, the new framework through which to expand our expand world understanding and peace by making peaceful efforts. I think that is what the new concept is. That's the concept of positive peace. For this, we also have a partnership with the Institute of Economics and Peace. And we have they have a program called Global Peace Index, and this GPI helps us plan our development projects much more strategically. The data tells us, for example, that the more peaceful countries are those where resources are distributed equitably and human capital is fully developed. Isn't exactly this what Gandhi had said? He said, there is enough in this world for every man's need, but not enough even for one man's greed. So I think peace can best be brought when there is peaceful distribution of all the resources. And that's what Rotary is trying to do. Where there is no water, we try to bring in water wells. Where there is no sanitation, we've built tens of thousands of toilets. Where there is no medical facility, thousands of hospitals across the world have been created. Even in this COVID times, I think the work that Rotarians have done is just outstanding. Just in India, for example, our contribution has been more than 200 crores, 105 crores directly to the PM CARES Fund, and more than 100 crores in developmental work across India. Professor Bhatkar, you said very rightly, the time for individual thinking is gone. Collective thinking by the world is what is required to bring world peace. And Rotary has taken a stance always in the forefront, and we'll only be too happy to look for partnership with wonderful organizations like yours. Thank you once again for inviting me to this event. I'm sure whenever I come to such meetings, I told Darshan also, it should lead us to somewhere. And I'm so very happy Larry is here. He's the person probably to take it to the next step. And it will be a positive step because we believe in positive peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta. Thank you so much, Mehtaji. All right. So with that, can we please proceed with the session flow? Yeah. Thank you so much. We have next speaker, Rotarian Larry Lunsford with us, who's currently chair of Rotary Peace Centers Committee in USA and director of Rotary International for the year 2013 to 2015. So very warm welcome to you. A quick introduction to Rotarian Larry Lunsford. So he joined Rotary way back in 1991, served as the president of the Rotary Club of Missouri in 1997-98, went on to serve as district governor in 2001, 2002, and then served as Rotary International Director in 2013 to 15. He continues to serve in numerous roles as a speaker at the district, zone, and international levels in Rotary. In 2017, he chaired his district's TRF Centennial Legacy Committee, which is also called as $1 Million Dinner Committee. And for past 18 years, he has served as the shoe cheerleader for his district, resulting in efforts which have collected huge funds and pairs of new shoes through the Shoes for Orphan Souls project. He was awarded the Rotary Foundation Citation for Meritorious Service and Service Above Self Award. So with that quick introduction, there's more to Sir's introduction, but I'm sure all of us are eager to listen to him. So with that introduction, I would quickly request Sir to kindly take it over from me and guide the audiences. Over to you, Sir.
Larry, just tell us what time it is at your end when you start so that everyone knows how early it is for you.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you, Darshan. It is 6 o'clock a.m. right now in Kansas City, Missouri, but it's the start here of a great day, and good afternoon to each of you. It's such a pleasure. I sincerely thank you for this invitation to join this session of the 6th World Parliament on Science, Religion, and Philosophy. I can't express my thanks enough. As the chair of the Rotary Foundation's Peace Centers Committee, today I am honored to speak about Rotary's peace initiatives and partnerships for peace. It's a pleasure to follow our president-elect, Shekhar Mehta. So to begin, it's worth asking, what is the state of peace today? United Nations statistics show that the number of people forcibly displaced worldwide has doubled over the past decade to 80 million. The number suffering acute hunger is expected to nearly double by year end to more than 250 million. With the first famines of the coronavirus era lurking around the corner. UN Secretary General Guterres's entreaty for a global ceasefire to help combat the coronavirus has gone largely unheeded. The coronavirus pandemic has the potential to wreak havoc in fragile states, trigger widespread unrest, and severely test international crisis management systems. Its implications are especially serious for those caught in the midst of conflict if, as seems likely, the disease disrupts humanitarian aid flows, limits peace operations, and postpones or distracts conflict parties from efforts at diplomacy. So it's time for new approaches in our work for peace, new approaches that Rotary International and partners like you should and can lead. But first, we have to ask a fundamental question. What does peace mean for Rotary? In short, peace holds a unique status for us. We approach peace not as an abstract concept, but as a dynamic expression of human development. Through our Peace Centers program, which I'm fortunate to chair that committee this year, we not only educate the next generation of peace experts, but even resolve existing issues between them. To give you just one example, Rotary Peace Fellow Sakin Rane from Mumbai, India, studied at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. Sakin, a police officer, recently worked as a crime investigation officer at the UN headquarters in Juba, South Sudan, which has long suffered, as we know, from civil war. Now back in India, he investigates economic offenses like fraud. In his words, quote, "After the training that I received in the Rotary Peace Course, I have become more people-oriented rather than a rigid law enforcer. I try to study the causes that lead to an incident." As President-elect Shaker mentioned, since the Rotary Peace Centers program began in 2002, just short of 2 decades ago, Sakin is one of over 1,300 fellows who graduated from our peace centers in just over those 15 years. These peace fellows now work in more than 115 countries. Many serve as leaders in governments, NGOs, the military, education, law enforcement, and international organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank. So it was indeed a great moment of pride for Rotary's global network when 9 months ago, in January 2020, we established the world's first Rotary Peace Center in Africa, in Makerere University, Kampala, Uganda. We now have 7 Rotary Peace Centers in 8 great universities around the world. Each year, 50 students graduate with a 2-year master's degree in peace and development studies, and another 80 students will graduate annually from the new 1-year certificate program at institutions I've already mentioned, 40 each year from Makerere in Uganda, and 40 from Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok. Earlier this week, I'm pleased to report to this session that Rotary's Peace Centers Committee made its recommendations to the Rotary Foundation trustees for those to be selected in the next class of Peace Fellows, and may I add, this includes a number from India. This Peace Centers program is just one element in Rotary's ambitious peace building programs. We know that a project as ambitious as global peace building, if we are to be as successful as we have been in our signature project of polio eradication, necessitates bold partnerships with the very best in the field. So, since 2017, Rotary International has been engaging in an ongoing strategic partnership with the Institute for Economics and Peace, the world's leading think tank, dedicated to developing metrics to analyze positive peace and quantify its economic value. As President-elect Shaker mentioned, positive peace is the conceptual framework pioneered by the IEP, which identifies and measures the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies, such as good governance, a sound business environment, and respect for human rights. And our partnership with the Institute for Economics and Peace will enable Rotary members, Peace Fellows, and others to execute stronger peace projects. This partnership consists of 3 main activities. First, we have the Rotary Positive Peace Academy, a free online learning platform that teaches members how to mobilize communities to address the underlying causes of conflict. You can register online at rotarypositivepeace.org. That's rotarypositivepeace.org. Second, we have positive peace workshops and a toolkit to empower Rotary members to build regional coalitions to support Rotary's peace building efforts. And third, to make positive peace more tangible for Rotarians, Rotary created the Positive Peace Activator Program. Between 2020 and 2023, in this new program, 150 new positive peace activators will be trained in 6 regions around the world, including the United States and Canada, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Sub-Saharan and Southern Africa, the Middle East and North Africa, and Europe.
Pardon me
across
for
the world.
interrupting you. May I please request you to kindly wrap the session so that we could also have more speakers enlightening the audiences? Yeah, over to you, sir.
Certainly, I have two sentences left. Your timing is perfect. So now that you've heard a little about Rotary's peace building efforts, I look forward to hearing from you about how we can work together to develop the condition for inclusive, resilient societies which flourish. Thank you for the opportunity to join you, and I wish you good luck for the remainder of the program. In Rotary, we believe that peace is possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us here with matching with our time zones and all of that. Thank you so much. It is really a pleasure to listen to you. Now, can we proceed with the flow of the session? Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Now, it is my indeed honor and pleasure to call upon this digital dais revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karat, sir, who is a UNESCO chairholder of Human Rights, Democracy, Peace and Tolerance, founder and chief patron, MISE MIT Pune, President MIT World Peace University, and President World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy 2020. We are so eager to listen to your thoughtful words, sir. So may I please request you to kindly take the dais and please enlighten the audiences. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Darshan and Milind Pandey, for organizing this very unique session for development of a partnership for world peace with Rotary International. Rotary International has been a very famous name in the whole world. There is nothing to introduce much about their activities. They have been doing a great service to the humanity by using their good offices. And now I just feel like that when Mr. Shekhar Mehta and Larry Lunsford from USA, Chicago, expressed their views about promotion of this peace building. Only one word I will say, that instead of we say peace building, we say development of a culture of peace in the world. Education, training, association, partnership, whatever methods we use, but education and training, the mindset, the brain and the intellect, which has been the greatest gift of the Mother Nature. And basically this institution, which has been trying to work on this mission from the year 1996. And when we had the first Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy, based on the very unique principles, the universal principles, the universal laws, which were enunciated by the great philosopher saint of India, philosopher Saint Naneshwara, but equally to the Saint Francis of Assisi too. And all the great scientists, sages and seers, and I particularly make a mention of the great scientists like Einstein, the Penrose, Schrodinger and many others, who have spoken this very similar words of wisdom, giving the secrets of the universal functioning, the universal laws as they call it. And I would like to very humbly make a statement that I don't know, but we have been trying to be on the mission of making this world community, all the universities, the institutions, the research centers, innovation centers of the world, to develop a positive mindset. I don't want to advise or preach anything to the learned people like the Larry or Mr. Shekhar Mehta, and of course my brother Vijay Bhatkar, who has been with us for so many years. I can see so many faces in front of me who have been very passionately involved in promoting this culture of peace. As per the suggestion of Mr. Shekhar Mehta and Larry, Mr. Darshan, it is your duty, or Mr. Tambe, it is your duty to join hands together. We must come closer and together, because there are very rare groups of people in the whole world who have a tremendous passion and fire in their belly to do something good for the whole of human race. The humanity which you can very well see, the same thing which I have been talking to my friends since morning. But friends, we belong to a same group of the entire society, the humanity. And you know, we have been passing through a horrifying situation which is known to everybody in the whole of known human history. I use the word. In the known human history, at least for myself or for yourself, we never expected. We had the situations before, even the World War II and World War I, the plague and so many other epidemics have come. It has really horrified the whole society. But this today's situation for the last 6 months, I still remember the day, it was 25th of March, when the Prime Minister of India had said the world is going to suffer very heavily and very horrifying situation is going to arise because of this COVID-19 and the coronavirus. Friends, you know it very well, better than me. This coronavirus, whether it is a man-made or natural one, is a debate, big debate. But we have been suffering through this horrifying situation, which has been so fearful. You know it very well, friends. I repeat, in the morning I said the same thing. I repeat again for your information, because the people from Rotary, they have a big role to play. They have been doing some great duty. And when this discussion of today, that too on the most auspicious occasion of the Mahatma Gandhi's 151st birth anniversary, one name, Mahatma Gandhi, and the second name is Gautam Buddha. There are two names which are uttered although the whole world are the messengers of peace. There is no third name. Remember, you may take some names politically. Somebody may claim that he is also a peace messenger or peacemonger, but you know it, friend, the principles and the lifestyle which Mr. Gandhi lived. A day is going to come. Our conclusion of ours would be that in the future, the world will have to follow in the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi's principles. The truth, the non-violence, two words are usually used, but the life, the way in which Mahatma Gandhi lived, may not be possible for you and me. But let me tell you, the principles on which Mahatma Gandhi lived and gave a message to the entire world is going to come, and the world will have to accept that passion and that mission which Mahatma Gandhi has advocated all the time. And not because he is from India or he is from some country, but I tell you certainly that on this occasion when we are discussing this issue, I felt that yes, Mr. Milind, we have a duty to perform. Fortunately, our own mission has been the entire world community has forgotten or has branded the spiritual component as the blind faith. Religion as a blind faith. Religion may be personal, ritualistic. But the question is, our understanding has been, gentlemen, unless you promote the culture of peace in the world through education system, through training system, whether it is the scientific component or the spiritual component, but we will have to have an appropriate components of science, technology, and spiritual component of life. Because spirituality belongs to the lifestyle itself, the human beings. All these human beings have a same common system, and accordingly we will have to certainly follow some footsteps in that direction and create a new education system possibly in the future. Not totally new, I'm saying. We have been having such a wonderful systems of education world over, but one thing is certain, that there is a universal education system, value-based universal education system. I repeat again that word. Let me tell you, when I say the time-tested human values, for thousands of years they have been tested, and finally we have come to a certain conclusion that yes, for the development of the holistic, peace-loving global society, we will have to come together, join hands together, and develop some wonderful, unique mechanism or a system of education which will help to bring the men together. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. I think that word has been used by many people. But this word is not for fun. I'm telling you, for the first time in the human history, again, for the first time the world has come closer because of this epidemic coronavirus. I think, but that should not be the mechanism. We should not wait for another danger again like this. We should find, maybe that you have to find out some solutions for it. But basically, changing the mindset itself is the main issue, and for which the people like Rotary or the other groups which are working for this common cause, going beyond any caste, creed, religion, boundaries of nations for the society as a whole. I think we will have some solution in the long run. And our institution, which is known as the MIT World Peace University, working in the name of philosophers St. Naneshwara and St. Francis of Assisi and Albert Einstein. I'm taking these two names, extreme names. The time and space is so vast. But now the time has come that we have to understand this. Minimizing the disorder, minimizing the disharmony, harmonizing the society, bringing to the order, the orderly system of lifestyle. I think because of this corona, when I see on the TV in the Western world, the people instead of hugging each other and embracing each other, they have started doing something like this. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. It's a very homogeneous, healthy practice which has been already advocated by this country. And we people, we all together have a role to play. I have a feeling that some joining hands together,
Yes, sir.
coming together, making a partnership for some good common cause for promoting the human welfare, the well-being of the mankind, is the need of the hour,
Yes,
and
sir.
possibly to take a pledge on this particular day of the 2nd October has a great meaning. This will be the pathway, the Gandhian pathway, the Gandhian thought. It's not a thought, it's an action.
Sir.
It's a lifestyle, it's a living technique, living mechanism. And that living style or living mechanism, which is more closer to the mother nature, let me tell you. The rule of law of any nation must run close to the rule of life of the people. And the rule of the life of the people, which make it ourselves, must run close to the rule of mother nature. Because the rule of mother nature is universal. And we have to bring it together and formulate the scientific laws and the spiritual laws putting together as a universal law, the universal practice, universal mechanism for the well-being of the human beings. Thank you, friends. I'm so grateful for making this proposal. I hope we will join hands for some common cause. It's our duty as our duty toward the mother, the father, the family, the society, the nation, and the whole world. That has been our practice and that has been our mission. I'm especially glad because Rotary International, important people are sitting in the audience, and they are the people who have given the really words of wisdom for all of us. Thank you so much, friends. I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom that all of us have been hearing and indeed looking forward every time. With that, I'm going to call it a quick end of the session. But before that, now let me please request Mr. Darshan Mundada to please come in and propose formal vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Fadke. I know we are running quite over time, so I'm going to be quick. But just to bring to attention to that of Mr. Mehta and Rotary and Larry, when positive peace was not even a concept way back in 1999, Karat sir was the first person to give me a small stipend every month so that I could go out there and do whatever social service I wanted to do and work on the ground to alleviate poverty and suffering. So I think Karat sir has been a visionary leader, has been driving this upfront, the change ecosystem. If it was not for him, I would not even be introduced to the words of peace and conflict resolution. I thank both of you for representing Rotary, for giving us your time, being here and making this partnership, beginning this partnership for us. I thank Bhatkar sir and I thank Karat sir for those remarks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our host, Professor Asavi Fadke. And as I thank Professor Asavi Fadke, I hand over the baton to Professor Gautam Bapat for the next round, which is a panel discussion. So,
Darshan, I would like to quickly mention about Mr. Pradeep Wagh and Mr. Sresht for facilitating this session. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you. Yes. Over to you, Professor Gautam Bapat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone in the panel. Thank you very much for indeed a very, very beautiful session. And now it's time that we quickly move on to the second part of third session, which is indeed a panel discussion. And the topic of this particular panel discussion is the union of science and spirituality, religion alone will bring peace and harmony to mankind. Indeed, a very, very important topic, and for which we have in the panel 5 members in the panel: the President of World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy, Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat, sir. Welcome, sir. We also have the Chairman of Organizing Committee, world famous computer scientist and Chancellor of Nalanda University, Honorable Padma Bhushan, Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar, sir. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. We also have with us Padma Shri Dr. B. N. Gangadhar, Professor of Psychiatry and Director of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have in the panel the Honorable Dr. Ashok K. Ganguly, the Deputy Director of Strategy and Planning, Professor, Department of Chemistry, Institute Chair Professor at IIT Delhi. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. And we have on the panel Honorable Holiness Guru U. Pandita Anandaji, founder, the Great Wisdom Meditation Association, Malaysia and Nepal. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. It is indeed our honor and privilege to have you here today. And I'm very sure that this particular session is going to be very, very enlightening and I would say thought-provoking as we listen to the discussion and the points put forth by all these.
We lost you, Gautam. We lost you for a moment.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Gautam, Professor Gautam, just a moment. Just for Larry's information, Larry, the Rotary session is over and we are moving on. You are more than welcome to stay, but I just thought there might be some confusion, so I just clarified, Larry. Thank you. Yes, Professor Gautam, you may continue. But it would be good if you want to stay. It would be a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you very much. And before we proceed with this particular session, I would like to request my technical team if they could please relay a short curtain raiser video for this particular session. Over to technical team. Thank you very much for that video. And before we actually begin with this session, I would like to invite Professor Milind Batre, Associate Dean, Faculty of Peace Studies at MIT World Peace University, to kindly propose welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, one and all. On behalf of Founder President, MIT's MIT Group of Institutions, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat, sir.
Professor, you went on mute.
On behalf of Founder President, MIT's MIT Group of Institutions, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karat, sir, I welcome with utmost humility all the distinguished guests and all learned friends who are attending online on many social media platforms. The very topic of today's panel discussion is the profound statement made by the noble son of India, Swami Vivekananda, in the historic Parliament of World Religions, 1893 at Chicago. The union of science and religion / spirituality alone will bring peace and harmony to mankind. The glorious foundations of MIT's MIT Group of Institutions lies in this very prophetic vision, ceaselessly pursued in the last 4 decades by revered founder, phenomenally culminating into the divine creation of the world's biggest dome in 2018, same day. However, if we take a broader look at the science and spirituality joining hands in the world we live at large, it needs serious reconsiderations. Based upon the observations of many spiritual giants, here is the probable missing link, at most vital for this union to manifest. While the science is the capacity to do, the spirituality is the capacity to be. While the science is turning attention outwards, the spirituality is turning attention inwards. And we need both the inward as well as outward journey to transform human lives. The book one must read to learn chemistry is, of course, book on chemistry, the book of nature, the book without. But the book from which to learn spirituality is our own mind and heart, the book within. May this historic Sixth World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy set in motion the harmonious coexistence of science and spirituality, doing and being, action and relaxation, thingness and nothingness. I once again welcome all the great legends for being present today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind opening remarks. And before I set the panel discussion on the roll, let me quickly take the privilege to introduce you to all the three dignitaries of this particular, the guests, I would say, because we don't really call Honorable Padma Bhushan Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar sir as guest, because we always take him one of our own and our own, I would say, guide. So the three guests that we have in this particular panel discussion, it is my honor and privilege to introduce them to all of you. Professor Dr. Ashok K. Ganguly is currently the Deputy Director of IIT Delhi and Institute Chair Professor in the Chemistry Department. He is also the Founding Director of Institute of Nanoscience and Technology in Mohali. Professor Ganguly studied chemistry from University of Delhi and obtained his PhD from Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore in year 1990. He was visiting scientist in United States of America and Switzerland. His main research interest is the area of nanomaterials and high temperature superconductivity. He has more than 300 publications and has filed 5 patents, and of which 2 are already granted. He is the recipient of several awards and the Fellow of Indian Academy of Sciences and National Academy of Sciences, India. Dr. Ganguly is also very passionate with teaching in the schools and colleges, especially catering excitement and underprivileged children in the remote parts of India. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It is indeed our honor and privilege to have you here today, sir. A quick, I would say, input from your side in just a minute or two before I introduce and set the panel in motion. Just 1 minute take off on this topic from your side.
I'm honored to be part of this Sixth World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy. And I'll try to connect to the science of nanotechnology, how you can connect to the world of spirituality. As in the vastness, we have spirituality, even in the small dimensions, you can think of connecting science to spirituality. Thanks.
Thank you very much for setting that tone for your views. Next, it's my indeed honor and privilege to introduce you to the Holiness Guru U Pandita Ananda, the founder of the Great Wisdom Meditation Association, Malaysia and Nepal. As his entire life is dedicated to Buddhism and serving humanity and the fellowship in these past 30 years, he has built and supported to reconstruct and the maintenance of more than 15 monasteries, supported to build more than 30 community schools in the Annapurna Conservation Area project, contributed more than 2 lakh school uniforms, bags, and stationery to the needy children. He has donated more than 4,000 computers to various government schools, and which is an ongoing program. It's supported to start many centers at the Manipal Teaching Hospital in Pokhara by contributing 16 lakh rupees, supported to set up more than 5 health centers by providing medical equipment. He has more than $1 million helped to Nepal during the earthquakes and still in the hearts of villagers of the affected areas. He has donated more than 50 million to the PM Earthquake Relief Fund to late PM Sushil Kumar Koiralaji. He has donated more than 2.5 crore to build Manaseva Primary School, and much, much, much more. It is indeed our honor and privilege to have you here today, sir. Quick view from your side before I go any further. Over to you. Yes, a quick input from your side, sir.
Yes. Namaste. I'm very glad to be invited to this conference. I'm Guru Upanita Anand. So, after I listened to all the great people and sharing their thoughts, I feel very grateful. And my message is very simple. We humans' evolution may take another 100,000 or millions years. Nobody knows. And the meaning of peace may be different from every corner. People who are starving, you give her some roti canai, and she's in peace. People are cold, you give him blanket, he's in peace. The country are fighting to each other and finally dissolve in, then we call it peace. So the meaning of peace, it can be explained in different ways. But I'm very grateful my learning from Himalaya, yoga and meditation, and always brings me and keep me in peace. Every moment when I watch Mahatma Gandhi with his sewing machine, everybody thought he's fighting for peace. No, he's already present the peace. You can see he's so peaceful and rolling his sewing machine and smiling. Huh? He can face to the British. He can do face to all the strong power. He has no fear. You put him in the jail, he's with a sewing machine. You free him in the hope, he's with a sewing machine. I was curious what happened to this man. But after my learning in Himalaya, I realized the people from the mundane, they are more concentrated to the outside world. Money, fame, affirmation, gains. The people who are matured, they are facing inside the very intimacy code. And we are the people. We are always in peace, in love, in compassion.
Guruji,
So
I'll come back to you. If you could please give me one more minute, I would like to introduce our next guest, and then I will set the entire session in discussion mode so that we can get into details. I'm really sorry for interrupting, but I'll have to introduce the next guest in this particular session with us on the panel, Padma Shri Dr. B.N. Gangadhar, MD and DSc, Professor of Psychiatry, Director of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. Dr. B.N. Gangadhar assumed the charge as the Director of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences on 12th of January 2016. Dr. Gangadhar, who is also the Senior Professor of Psychiatry, brings over 30 years of extensive experience in the field of mental health from both clinical and academic perspectives. He obtained his MBBS degree from Bangalore Medical College in 1978. Concurrent to his faculty position, he has served the Institute of various capacities, such as Medical Superintendent, Head of the Department of Psychiatry, Dean of Behavioral Sciences, and Program Director and Head of Advanced Center for Yoga. Indeed, a great personality to have to be with us today. Sir, over to you for a quick 1 minute, your take on this particular topic, and then we will start the discussion. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are in mute. I would like to request you to please unmute yourself. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. At the outset, let me thank the organizers for inviting me to this meeting. I don't see a difference between science and spirituality in its true sense. Science approached for the search of knowledge and the final truth is indeed spirituality. But science applied to selfish needs and only for returns of material nature may be away from spirituality. So every scientist is indeed a spiritual person as long as this science is focused on searching for the truth for the humanity.
Great, great. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that quick input. And now it is indeed my privilege and honor to start the discussion among 5 visionaries and great leaders that we have with us today. But before I do that, let me quickly share with you the views of Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karatse, and he has been sharing the same with us for last 4 decades, trying to imbibe his message in hearts of each one of us. All the religious scriptures are nothing but the life guiding scriptures that guide us on how to live life and how not to live. They might belong to different religions or spiritual practices, but at the core, they all are designed to help us purify our souls and our energies, be that matter, mind, spirit, or consciousness. So, indeed, on this note, we can start our discussion on this particular topic. And to open this discussion, I would like to request Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karatse to put forth his views on union of science and spirituality of the religion alone will bring the peace and harmony to mankind. Over to you, sir. And the pattern of this particular session is going to be discussion. So probably I'll be cutting the lines in between. So please excuse me for that in advance.
I
Yes.
think, thank you, Bapat, for giving this opportunity to say something about it. But you have rightly said and conveyed the message of what I have been trying to do. I am grateful to Mr. B. N. Gangadhar for a very brief comment on science and spiritual comfort of life. Equally true is Mr. Ashok Ganguly. He should have been given a little bit more time to speak about this, because I find that being such a great scientist, really a teacher of repute possibly, and who has devoted his life for the cause of understanding this role of science and the spiritual comfort of life. I think the very words which were uttered by the great noble son of India, Swami Vivekananda, on 11th of September 1893, has been my life mission. And I've been trying to understand myself, being an engineer, being a man who is crazy to understand what is particle physics, what is Vedic wisdom, what is the philosophy behind. And I have seen a number of conferences world over. And we have come to the conclusion regarding this very discussion which we are planning to have, the panel discussion, as you have said. I just felt, Mr. Bapat, that these people, Mr. Gangadhar or Mr. Ashok and the other gentleman from Nepal,
yes,
very passionately involved in this whole mission. And when we are talking on this occasion of the Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, 151st or whatever the number may be, but I feel that we have been very much involved, deeply involved in this understanding our own duty. In India, you know that duty has been taken as a religion itself. Religion is nothing but to perform our duty toward the mother, the father, the family, the society, the nation, and the whole world. Simple. These are the words of wisdom spoken by the great men of the saintly order, but with a scientific base, basically. And what we are discussing today is about the science and spirituality and object religion. So rather, I would request Mr. Ashok, Mr. Gentleman Anandaji from Nepal, let them speak on this rather than, because I have time to say the same thing again and again.
Yes.
And I have only the madness or a craziness possibly for the last 40 years. And the World Peace Dome, which you have been talking about, is an outcome of the evolution of something, some physical model which has evolved.
Exactly.
I'm not the maker. I'm not the doer.
Exactly. I want to bring the discussion to the same point that you said just now, sir. You have been saying that it is we should perform our duties towards our mother, towards our father, our family, and our society and country at large. I would like to take this point to Guru Upanditaji. Sir, what do you feel? What is your take on this? Because spirituality and staying into the materialistic world two things seem to be different to us, to the common man. What is your take on this?
Namaste. So, as I say, we humans under evolution, it will take a long time to grow, to evolve. And as I said just now, the mundane people, they focus to the outside world, money, gains, authority, fame, whatsoever. The more learned you are, the more transcendental you are going inward, intimacy code. And the world or outside is only dot element. Okay, from today's physics science, we understand everything is a form of energy. And we visualize the energy, we doesn't visualize the energy, but we visualize what we focus, what we project. And we drown ourselves with our dream. See, only come to the very maturity of one human when he travel inward. He understand this is a dream. This world is dot element. As whether Gautama Buddha said, or any sheikh or any enlightened person like Patanjali or Mahavira, they are talking about Brahma Lantra, Moksha. It's different language, but it's the same goal. This world is an illusion, is dot by element. It is purely physics science. But the innermost, the quality of life, the one understanding and deep penetration into the very intimacy code, and that is important. So for special people like Mahatma Gandhi, Gautama the Buddha, Patanjali, Mahavira, Vivekananda, Radhakrishna, Namakrishna, or some of Sankarajaya, or even in China, Lao Tzu, Zhuangzi, all this. We think we are the people, we have to go inside. When you touch your innermost, the peace is there, the love is there, the compassion is there. It's already there. So it's grateful to hear
All right.
everybody. It's good. We keep on developing, but one day we'll reach to this quality, and it is.
Great, great. What a wonderful thought. Thank you very much. I would like to take this thought back to Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar, sir, because both the things that you mentioned probably in your speech are part of his life. I mean, he has been the great scientist throughout his life. He's now the chancellor. So that probably the knowledge, the epitome of knowledge, the epitome of being famous, both the things are with Dr. Vijay P. Bhatkar, sir. So what is his feeling? What he feels about having the materialistic gains in life and moving the same things towards spirituality, moving yourself towards spirituality. What are your thoughts, sir? Over to you.
So, is dedicated to?
Bhatkar, sir. My question, this question is to Bhatkar, sir. Vijay Bhatkar, sir. So could you please unmute yourself? I would recommend in this particular panel discussion, you all can stay, all the panel members can stay unmute so that you can quickly talk. And I don't really want to make it a TV debate, just the way we have been seeing, but I would like to this being more interactive. Yes, over to Bhatkar, sir.
Yeah, Gautam, we have come to a very core issue now. I think we are discussing in this process of this very conference. This question has come again and again, that we want to understand what is the nature of science and what is the nature of spirituality. How is that union, the synthesis we have to bring about, and why we have to bring about. Now, this is a very core philosophical issue, intellectual issue, and also in that, I think you have to practice this whole thing, as we have seen in the Rotarian, this one, that it's not just an ideal concept which we are discussing.
No, sir, we would like to understand exactly your life experience. That means being a man of science, how exactly, what happened to your heart? What happened to your soul that you came towards this spirituality? Because I've been seeing Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir has been calling you Santa Vrittisa Shastrajna. So how exactly that transformation happened? We would like to know, sir.
I think I'm basically a seeker of knowledge. I'm a student of knowledge. I want you to understand the very nature of knowledge. And I've been a student of science. I think, and I've seen that science, then research has led me to these very definitions. What do you call it science? What do you call it spirituality? How they meet together and why we meet, why should they come together? I think the definition has come from none other than, I think, Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. The chapter 7 in the search, he talks about Jnana Vijnana Yoga. He talks about, in a certain sense, with Saint Dhaneshwara interprets as that in a manner, in today's manner, is what is science and what is spirituality. What he says that science is Vyavaharik Jnana, that what we call the external knowledge which you get through the sensory apparatus that we have got. And we have made such enormous progress in understanding the valid knowledge through a sensory apparatus. But the question came, I think the spirituality comes from what is the nature of our own spirit, our own self, which is seeking this knowledge. This is the essential difference, I think, Saint Dhaneshwara got, and I wanted to know that. I think the difference between the two.
Right.
And this is what is described in, I got from Saint Dhaneshwara. I got it, of course, more elaborately there, but it was initiated in Bhagavad Gita. So
I would like to take the same, how easily, sir, you took us through the Bhagavad Gita and the message of Gita. But I would like to take this question again, the same question to Professor Gangadhar, because he has been the professor of psychiatry and someone who understands the mind much better than anybody who's present here today. So I would like to pose the same question to you, sir. What probably would be happening, must have happened, I don't know, in the mind and in the heart of Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir or Vijay P. Bhatkar sir, that a man who looks just like any other man with bone and flesh, but gets attracted or gets drawn towards the, I would say, philosophy and the core meaning of life. What exactly must be happening? Over to you, sir.
Each individual is himself, herself spiritual. The extent of being spiritual varies, of course. Number two, search of knowledge, as Vijayji said, and you link it to their purpose, the karma yoga, and do it for the society or without any passion. Keep doing it, keep searching, keep acquiring knowledge until you get the last answer to your question in your mind, or to the last service that you may want to do. Keep doing it, and that itself is spirituality. Spirituality may not necessarily be something that is totally outside the science or material world. Material world used for the ultimate, material science used for the quest of the ultimate knowledge, the quest for knowledge to satisfy oneself to the ultimate until one gets that aha feeling is spirituality.
What a great input. I would like to take this now question to Dr. Ganguly, because a person who has been researching and working in the field of chemistry and nanosciences, so probably the one who has seen the smallest of the small, because this also has been the message of Karad sir, that the Anu Renu Tokada and Tuka Akasha Evada. It's like you go to the smallest of the small and understand the largest of the large. So, Dr. Ganguly, what has been your experience in this regard?
Yeah, so I want to start first that I think I have a common interest with Dr. Karad. I was most impressed by Swami Vivekananda from his address in the Parliament of Religions in 1893. And when the mail came from your organization, I was really so happy that I can participate in this. You know, Swami Vivekananda, if you see, why does he connect to youth? Because he connects the materials world to spirituality. I think he's one of those apostles you can call who connects the material world to spirituality. And so there is a very easy connect to a common man. And this I have felt, and in his teachings, etc., if you go, how he managed to achieve so much globally in his 39 years. I just want to tell you one thing which is in the news, the name Hathras. You know, Hathras is a place where Swami Vivekananda got his first disciple. The first disciple of Swami Vivekananda was assistant station master at Hathras railway station. Unusual that a man traveled so much, while this happened when he was traveling from Vrindavan to Rishikesh and he was at Hathras, that changed, left his job and went into this. So there are great people who have impressed scientists. And what is science? As Dr. Bhatkar already said, all scientists ask questions. Vivekananda asked always questions. Guru Ramakrishna had to convince him. So his heart was, he was basically a scientist. He will not take an answer unless he is convinced. And so for me, science is observation, thinking, exploring, experimentation, come back to your original hypothesis, again analyze, again do experimentation till you come to the core answer, which is the understanding. And even in scientists, from a mundane problem, you go to a complex problem. And when you go to complex problems and you don't get answers, you touch spirituality. All great scientists answers. Then they touched spirituality. So somebody said how one person goes to spirituality. I think a scientist, as he continuously asks questions of more depth, more complexity, he touches the borders of spirituality. Wow. Here I want to connect to nanotechnology. You know, we are all amazed. You know, my passion is to watch mountain climbing because I am amazed by mountains. There are 14 mountain peaks in the world above 8,000 feet. And that is called the death zone because that's the amount of oxygen partial pressure above 8,000 feet, you cannot survive without oxygen. Now, why we are amazed by mountains and by the achievements of mankind is because there is some awe, something in nature.
So one more minute to you. I have to quickly move ahead, but 1 minute to you, sir.
So
yes, yes.
This vastness of the universe, we spend satellites, we went to moon, we went to Mars, we are dropped a rover there, we are going next to Venus. This vastness amazes students and scientists. But this same vastness is in there in the nanostructures, in nanosize. That is what I want to say, and I'll complete by 30 seconds. If the Earth is a point, if the Earth is a point of your, which you can make with your pen, then all of us can be in that point if we are in nano dimensions. That means you and me become 2 nanometer size. All of us will be within that one point, and there will still be space. That means, do we understand that world? That one point has a whole universe, and that is the world of nanoscience. So I'll stop.
My goodness. Thank you very much, Dr. Ganguly, for connecting those dots. And we have almost halfway through this panel discussion. We have completed almost 20 minutes of it, completely following time. So 2 parameters we have talked about in this discussion so far, the science and spirituality. Now, let me take this discussion towards the third and important parameter, which is not actually the third one, the oblique one, religion. So I would like to take this question to Guru Panditaji, that does it matter, because you have been the disciple of Buddhism, there would be Hindus, Muslims, Christians. So does that really matter? Because when we all talk of humanity, when we all talk of spirituality, do you feel that these religions are helping, or these religions are playing some other role? Over to you, sir.
First of all, we must understand science are from macro into micro, the search of science, from macro into micro, looking for the very fundamental. And the yogi or the sage or the seekers, our view are from micro and understand the macro. From one dot, we know the whole universe. So, if I were to explain to my experience of this world, what happened to this world? This world is exercising for energy and prolong into consciousness. And from the very consciousness, they project their own world. That's what we are today. We are dot energy. But because of karma or because of frequency or because of attitude, behavior, anything you name it from any kind of corner, this energy combined into life. And from life into projection into consciousness. And this very consciousness needs time for his evolution into maturity. So as I said just now, mundane people, their view is outside. Money, gains, authority, advantage. And for the majority people, they view inside. They realize it's a gift of life. It is a blessing for life. He's already in peace. So whether you are Buddhist or you are yogi or you are Hinduism, any ism, the very fundamental teaching is the same. I tell you, I'm a Chinese, but I'm a very good Indian Chinese. Punna mina, punna mana, punna punna shate, punna ya, punna malaya shate. Everything is a wholeness. I'm talking about Upanishad. Everything is a wholeness. It's a complete wholeness. We are partial wholeness. Very difficult to understand this very textbook from a very Sanskrit, very ancient. And Bhagavad Gita say, Krishna said to Arjuna, you think you can kill somebody? Somebody being killed? Somebody can kill somebody? No. It's a distortion of the energy. Oh my God, such wisdom. But brother, I'm a foreign, but I can understand this wisdom and I learn from this philosophy. And today, I'm so joyous. I'm so happy. But why other cannot learn? Why other cannot share? So this is evolution. Human takes time to grow. The people in India and China and surrounding Himalaya are blessed. We have the very ancient philosophy. We have the very ancient wisdom. We are blessed, but we never really seriously, take a look on this wisdom. And people from other country, they may just only 200 years, 100 years of history, and they may be so much advanced in their power, their rocket, their weapon, but in the brain, they have not come to this maturity. They have not come to this very quality. And it's difficult to explain to them about this very quality because the culture, the time, the gap, the depth. Yes. So when we talk about
Murthy,
peace,
I'll have to. I want to take this same thread that you are saying to Dr. Gangadhar, because he has been the professor of psychiatry, and he must have, in his career and practice so far, he must have dealt with people of almost all religion. I'm very sure about that. So what has been his, I would say, experience of dealing with the mind of the people of various religions? Because we are trying to discuss the science, religion, and spirituality. So, how exactly has been your experience? That what Guru you Pandita just now said, that every human being takes its own time to understand the ultimate reality. So, how do you relate this to religions?
Okay, religion is a different issue altogether. It's just a way of life. Let's keep that out. But spiritually transcended individuals. Now that you said that I'm a psychiatrist, I know mind. I don't know how much mind I know, but nonetheless, when I'm talking of spiritual transcendence, the karma yogi keeps doing, and how much of yoga or how much of transcendence has happened in him, how do I see? One, that transcendence is happening or not is a self-realization or self-experience that this individual will get it. But the person who has got it is able to attract more people to him or her. That connectedness increases. A person who can get connected to, or a person who gets connected to others, that is the samyoga yoga ityukto jivatma paramatmanaha. That yoga is connecting my consciousness with that cosmic consciousness. If I have in fact been able to develop that transcendence, when I am connecting to that cosmic consciousness, shouldn't I connect to other nearby consciousness?
No,
And
but
this,
my question, the reason behind asking this question to you is: have you ever found any challenge while dealing with the people of different religions, or all the rule of your
that's it. So,
psychiatry remains the same?
Okay. Sir, psychiatry as of now is although you may call psychology the abstract science, etc., it's reasonably concrete, and religion doesn't come in the way of me interpreting the scientific skills required for treating X, Y, Z individual, irrespective of the religion. But when it comes to psychotherapeutic approaches, then when it comes to subjectivity, at that time there could be some influences across religion. But I believe spirituality transcends religion.
What a great thought. I'm really feeling stressed and tensed for Mr. Darshan Mundara, because how exactly he's going to recap all these discussions, because there are so many beautiful thoughts being put up on the table. So how exactly his job is going to be really tough and all that. So I would like to take the same thought forward, and I would like to ask Dr. Bhatkar sir, because he has traveled all across the world. He has been the person of computer science. So, sir, my question to you was, because we are now coming, it's almost, I have last 10 minutes left in my hand. So my same question now, I would like to ask the same question to everyone in the panel, taking a couple of minutes and giving a couple of minutes to all of you. So we have been talking about the union of science, spirituality, oblique religion, and how their harmony, how their, I would say, union will bring the peace and harmony to mankind. So what exactly is your concluding thought, Bhatkar sir? Over to you, Bhatkar sir. Could you please unmute yourself? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I audible now, Gautam?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yes. I think the whole thing is a continuum. What we are trying to make a distinction between, as we study science, as well as you study your nature of your own self. See, so far what happened in science, the experimenter, the person, the observer remained outside the experiment. Now, with the more and more knowledge of deeper science, which we talk about today, the quantum view, the experimenter, the observer himself is a part of the experiment. Now we are coming close, really. Now the science and what you call the spiritual view is coming to closer. You are part of that experiment itself. You are trying to know the reality, but you yourself are that reality. I think that's what the Vedic intentions have been, that I am that reality. So far that view has not come in science. Aham Brahmasmi. Who am I? Who are you? That you are, that reality you yourself are. Tattvamasi. Prajnanam Brahman, I am Atma Brahman. So these four, I think, Mahavakyas give that. Now you, in science, you have become a part of that, of the whole process itself of knowing yourself. So what we are trying to say is that by bringing science and spirituality together, and if you don't work together, you will never know the reality. If you want to know the outside world, you will never know unless you know yourself. So it's a great, I think, event which is occurring in the human evolution, where you have become part of that investigation itself. So this is the Vedic message. And I'm seeing
But Bhatkar sir, the reality is what we've been seeing is the religion, unfortunately, what we see in the world is not something that we all would like to see. So does science and spirituality has answer to that divide?
Yes, religion is, because I think in all, whether it's a religion or science, both have been misused. Both have been very well used also. I think this is because of a partial ignorant view which comes, and we think that is the truth. I think by bringing science and spirituality, we will always, I think we are trying to merge that view and get a holistic view of the world and the purpose of life. I think that's why it's required. Until that is brought together, there will be always conflict. There will be always misunderstanding, and half knowledge is all dangerous. And that's why I think when you talk about universalization of knowledge, this view is very important. What is that? I think this holistic view. Otherwise, there will be always conflicts.
Absolutely right. I think what sir is trying to indicate. Let me take the same question, because I'm in the wrap-up mode. So let me take the same question to Dr. B. N. Gangadhar for his concluding, I would say, the wrap-up views, that how exactly we should go forward henceforth to minimize the gap of science, spirituality, and religion.
Yeah, it may be repetitive, sir. I wish
No,
to.
the exact. We would like to know the concrete steps that you see to do this, to minimize this gap.
It can be minimized if we keep ourselves in other shoes, think that whatever we are doing is for others, not for myself, because I am that others also. If we can be as dedicated as we can that be, I think we have achieved spirituality.
Wow. I think Dr. Gangadhar has been, since the beginning of this discussion, pinpointed to the point, I would say, outcome. Thank you very much for that. Let me take the same question to Dr. Ganguly. Sir, same question to you. How exactly, or what should be the steps to achieve and to minimize this gap of science, spirituality, and religion?
What I think when scientists start asking those detailed questions, that is outward things, whatever you are seeing, outward world, they also start asking questions which are inward. The same scientist, because the questions are quite similar, but only thing now he starts asking questions about existence. Why was he born? And in this short life, what is the purpose? When he thinks about these things, then his mind gets more and more refined. And this is what is your detailing. Your mind is becoming finer and finer. And ultimately, you realize that all material possessions are not the important things in life, but service of mankind is more important, and which is religion according to Swami Vivekananda.
Oh, wow. Great, great thoughts. Again, Dr. Ganguly also gave a pinpointed, straight statement, I would say the equation to achieve what we're trying to say. I have 1 last minute left in my hand, but I cannot let Guru Pandita ji to just go like that without answering this question. So next, this same question to you, sir. What do you see as steps to minimize this distance between science, spirituality, and religion? Over to you, sir.
If my hand have a piece of bread, chapati, the scientists will research how to make this chapati, what is the ingredient and what is inside, and how to improve the taste of chapati, and blah blah blah. But for the spiritual search, I will take the chapati and have a full mouth on it and mm, ah, mamma mia, diari mitocha. And after the chapati, I will start to think by using my strength, my power to help people to do something meaningful in life. So that's what I say. One is macro to micro, one is the micro to macro. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with this, I have reached. Oh, great. I still have 1 minute in my hand, and I'm definitely going to use that last 1 minute, not going to let it go because I still have not heard, we haven't heard the views of Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad, sir, to what he feels should be the steps towards minimizing. Of course, he has been this quest for last 4 decades, but today has been so engaging discussion. So I think this is very apt time to go back to him. So over to you. I have a minute left. I want you to answer this.
Thank you, Bapat. But especially, I must put it on record, and I have a tremendous sense of satisfaction to listen to Mr. Gangadhar, Mr. Ashok Ganguly, and Guru Pandita Ananda, including my brother Vijay Bhatkar. Especially because I'm reminded of the conference which I had held almost about 20 years back, which was addressed by Professor B. Ram Murthy, the chairman of the Neurosurgeons Group of India, and the subject was mind, matter, spirit, and consciousness. So many things can be said, but especially to Mr. Gangadhar, who very briefly, very aptly, he answered each and every point which you raised to. But the question is ultimately, what is the nature? And finally, Vijay Bhatkar, when he said, it's the knowledge seeker, he's a knowledge seeker. You know, Sant Dhaneshwara, the philosopher Sant Dhaneshwara, symbolizes nothing but the knowledge. He is always saying a knowledge-based society. The entire universe is a manifestation of intelligence and consciousness. And that was the search which I was trying to do from mind, matter, spirit, and consciousness, today I feel like getting an answer for all these questions. And possibly we may proceed further. At least one thing is certain, that I'm not on the wrong path. That certificate which has been given by Mr. Gangadhar, Mr. Ashok, that Guruji from Nepal, originally from China. What a wonderful narration. And finally, the issue is the search of Higgs boson particle, the God particle, that smallest of the smallest of the small of the whole universe. It is still conscious. It is certainly a nature which otherwise is called as a God particle. But our philosopher Saint Tukaram Maharaj and even Dhaneshwara has been always saying Anu Renu Thokada Tuka Akasha Yoda.
Absolutely.
And the smallest of the smallest of the small particle of the universe, but how it can encompass the entire infinite universe. And that is last, the most beautiful, most energetic, and most powerful, much bigger than coronavirus, much powerful than coronavirus, which has given a very typical, the indication to all of you that you are too small. You have to understand your limitation. And Mr. Gangadhara, when he said, particularly, he made a mention about this very aspect. And he told very appropriately our ignorance, let me tell you, we have yet to understand. We are too small a people, but fortunately blessed by the Almighty, whatever that power may be, we have been blessed by your parents, the mother and the father, that we have been having this opportunity of at least discussing this issue. Possibly whatever we have learned throughout our life, we have been trying to use. Mr. Gangadhar made a mention that the moment you feel that you are doing it for self and for oneself, for the personal gains, the issue is gone. You cannot satya sankalpata datanaren is the issue which we have been talking. If your purpose is plain and not selfish at all, doing something good for the society, for the people around you. There are very ignorant people. I have been saying in the morning, I said, where are the Security Council members is my main issue today. The warriors, whether I don't know what's the right appropriate word, but I have been feeling, I wrote a letter, possibly the people like us should write a letter to the chairman of the Security Council, the World Health Organization. Where are their weapons? Where are there weapons like the destructive weapons like the atom bomb, the neutron bombs and all other things? And this chemical or a biological weapon under the name of research has come out in the form of a coronavirus. I said in the morning, whether it is a man-made or the natural one is a big issue. But we have to find an answer, and the answer could be found certainly through scientific means. Most logically, it is a scientific one because spirituality is nothing but science, as Gangadhar has said. There is no difference at all. Both of them are very scientific and logical and philosophical, and certainly the spirituality is nothing but spiritual science. Non-duality, Advaita, is a philosophy of science. This is a new insight, the new vision. I think Dr. Vijay Bhatkar has been all the time, because he's a man of artificial intelligence, the Facebook, the Google, everything. And this system where we are sitting just now, I told in the morning too, this has become possible because there is a very universal principle, the universal secrets. I'm not trying to show my achievement, but there's a small booklet, gentlemen, for you, Mr. Gangadharan and Mr. Ashok, and my guru from Nepal. This was published on 3rd of June because I just found something worthy of it. These are the 9 universal secrets. I'm saying 9 universal secrets are 9 universal principles, which were enunciated and narrated by this philosopher Saint of India, Sant Dhaneshwara, in whose name this World Peace University is trying to function. But the journey is from Sant Dhaneshwara to Albert Einstein. It is not limited to India alone. But the beauty and the really worthiness of this is, these are the various secrets and the universal principles, because of which I asked Vijay Bhatkar the other day, this web technology, what we are experiencing just now, I don't know where everybody is sitting. But this has become possible because the very principle, very secret of the universe was told by Nareshwara that the entire universe is a manifestation of pure intelligence. I repeat the word. The entire universe is a manifestation of pure intelligence, pure consciousness, and the ultimate reality. You may call ultimate truth. But that has been proved. Whether it is a Facebook or a Google or any other system, we are functioning. 730 years back, this boy at the age of 16 make this narration. Let me tell you, friends, I have been very crazy and mad because I belong to that family of Vaishnavites. And being an engineer, I was in search of understanding because of the equation like ohm equal to mc squared. I said ohm equal to mc squared. It's a very wonderful equation. And which
I'm really sorry, but my time has completely ran out and I have overshot 4 minutes actually. So without taking much time, and I think Mr. Darshandra must be very happy right now because Garad sir actually
I have done my job
recapped and did
remarks. So I think there's no concluding remarks because sir summarized the whole session very well. Shunya Shunya Mudat.
Absolutely.
Just did that.
Absolutely. But as a matter of formality, let me quickly request. But yeah, before I go there, I would like to request everyone in the panel to please put on their cameras because we are now capturing this session into a photograph through a screenshot. So I request everyone to please put on their cameras and wear a beautiful smile so that we can capture the screenshot and preserve it for the lifetime.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm sure by the time screenshot must have been taken because that is a lot easier than the photograph. Thank you very much for that. But as a matter of formality, let me quickly request the Pro Vice Chancellor of MIT World Peace University, Group Captain D.P. Apte, to quickly propose a vote of thanks. Actually, I have entered the time of next session, but yes, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Gautam. I'm not going to take much time. In any case, I won't be able to speak after such a wise words, wisdom. They have come. I will take a lot of time to digest them to begin with. So I propose a vote of thanks to all the panelists, panel members, starting with revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad, who is a founder and president. And he is one of the important panel members. And we have been listening to him on this particular topic earlier also. I also propose to vote of thanks to Padma Bhushan, Dr. Vijay Bhatkar sir. Again, we have heard him on this topic and again, we learn something every time he talks on this, some new dimension on this topic. I also propose a vote of thanks to Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Ashok Ganguly sir, who is...
No, I am not Padma
IIT
Vibhushan. There is a correction. I am not Padma.
Sir, okay, sir. Dr. Ashok Ganguly, Deputy Director of Strategic and Planning and Professor of Department of Chemistry, Institute Chair Professor at Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi. I also propose a vote of thanks to Holiness Guru Pandita Anandji. Very nice. In fact, just looking at you, I was feeling elated. I was feeling very nice just looking at your energy, what I was getting it when you're talking. The founder and Great Wisdom Meditation Association of Malaysia and Nepal. So definitely I would like to learn meditation from you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to propose a vote of thanks to Dr. B.N. Gangadhar Padmash and his psychiatrist, Professor of Psychiatry and Director at this is National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. So from neuroscience to he related the topic to this philosophy and religion and science. Thank you very much. And we are now going into the next session.
Yeah.
So I also thank all the organizers, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Deans of various institutes, and our staff and faculty and students who are attending this particular panel discussion and now eager to move into the next gear in the next session. Thank you very much, Gautam.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. And without taking a single more minute, let's give a big round of applause on this digital dais to everyone who participated in this wonderful panel discussion. Thank you very much. for that energy and thoughts. And without taking a single minute, I hand over the charge to my next colleague, my guest anchor, Professor Chainika. Over to you.
1 minute, Gautam. This is a special mentioning about the Guru Pandita. Since from the morning, he was very active and listening to our sessions. Irrespective of his busy schedule and his lot of devotees, he found some time to grace the 6th World Parliament. Thank you, Guru Pandita.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over to you, Chainika Basu. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Professor Chainika Basu on behalf of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, welcomes you to the 4th session of the 6th World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy. At the beginning of the session, I shall express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, our Executive President, Shri Rahul Karad, and Padma Bhushan, Dr. Vijay B. Bhatkar, sir, for such a noble and unique idea of this World Peace Parliament. To begin with, this session, session 4, it deals with the partnership for the goals. The Sustainable Development Goals, it defines the world that we want. They apply to all the nations, and which quite simply means that no one should be left behind. The SDGs can only be realized with global cooperation and partnership from all the nations. The Sustainable Development Goals are actually the blueprint of a world that we actually want. It works towards several environmental goals, such as poverty, inequality, environmental degradation, climate change, peace, and justice. Henry Ford had once stated that coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. Therefore, in this session, we shall discuss that how partnerships and working together can actually enhance the opportunities for the world peace. To begin with the session, I shall first request Dr. Anuradha Parashar, Dean, School of Liberal Arts, MIT WPU, to give the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Janika. Very good evening to one and all, and welcome to session 4 of day 1 of the 6th edition of World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy at Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, Pune, India. It is indeed an honor and privilege to extend welcome note on behalf of MIT World Peace University to all distinguished members and participants to this session on SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. With folded hands on my behalf and on behalf of Honorable President, Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad, Honorable Executive President, Shri Rahul V. Karad, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor N.T. Rao, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Milan Pandey, faculty, staff, and students of MIT World Peace University, I extend hearty welcome to all distinguished speakers and participants to the 6th World Parliament of Science, Religion, and Philosophy at the revered land of Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, Pune, India, and to this unique and enthralling session on SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. From bottom of my heart, I extend warm welcome to honorable and distinguished members on the virtual dais. Please join me in extending cordial welcome to Shri Andrew Russell, former Senior Advisor to the Assistant Secretary General, Human Resource Management, UN, New York. We extend warm welcome to Shri Mandar Apte, Executive Director at Cities for Peace International Association for Human Values, Los Angeles, California. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Marios Antonio, International Development Academic and Practitioner, Nicosia, Cyprus. Hearty welcome to Ms. Julia Roy, CEO, Partner Global, Washington, DC. And warm welcome to Honorable Professor Omid Wali, Professor and Peace Fellow, Nangarhar University, Afghanistan. We wholeheartedly welcome UNESCO Chairholder Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad, Founder and Chief Patron, Myers, MIT Pune, and President, MIT World Peace University. He is also President for World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all esteemed members and participants from academia, industry, society, and from the great fraternity of science, religion, and philosophy who are attending on this platform as well as on various social platforms. Dhanyavad, Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now I shall request our technical team to play the curtain raiser video clip about the session.
The Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, define the world we want. They apply to all the nations and mean quite simply to ensure that no one is left behind. The SDGs can only be realized with strong global partnerships and cooperation. The Sustainable Development Goals address the global challenges we face, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. In this session, we propose to discuss how partnerships can enhance the opportunities for world peace. We will be looking at various individuals and organizations who have created grassroots networks focused on human rights, tolerance, and peace.
Thanks to my technical team. There are certain moments in life that we wish to cherish for our lifetime. And this is such a moment, which maybe 10 years, 20 years down the line, we would love to cherish. So I shall request all the honorable guests to put on their videos for a group photograph. May I please request all of you to put on your videos?
Done, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I shall request my technical team to play the short film on the World Peace Dome.
इक्कीसवीं शताब्दी में मेरी भारत माता विश्व गुरु बनने की काबिलियत रखता है. It will become a विश्व गुरु in the 21st century. उसका छोटा सा उदाहरण, छोटा सा सिंबल यहाँ बन गया है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है. I must say that in the entire history after the independence since 1947, this is one of the unique steps towards the contribution of universal humanity. And my government of India I appeal to the Vice President and Honorable Chief Minister to recognize this World Peace Dome as a structure of national and global importance and support to promote it in such a way that it evolves as one of the prominent tourism destinations of the world.
Thanks to my technical team. Now we shall begin with the session with all our eminent guests. But before the starting of the session, I have a humble request to all our dignitaries. Kindly help us to be on time. Therefore, after the completion of 6 minutes, I shall put a gentle reminder by raising of my hand. And after the completion of the 7th minute, I shall just put a bell, something like this, which shall be a reminder of the fact that your time for the speech is over. I hope you will not mind, and thanks for your kind understanding. Today we have the privilege to have amongst us Honorable Mr. Andrew Russell, former Senior Advisor to the Assistant Secretary General of Human Resource Management, UN, New York. Andrew Russell is a specialist in peace building and organizational change with close to 3 decades of experience in the United Nations. Mr. Russell has worked in Central America, Cyprus, and most recently in Kosovo, where he served as Union Development Coordinator and Union Development Program Resident Representative. He designed and oversaw the implementation of programs dealing with the promotion of social dialogue, civic engagement, and civil society participation in national development processes, as well as the territorial-based approaches to integrated local development. He has also served in corporate managerial positions, including as a coordinator of internal management consulting services within the UN Development Program. Until April 2019, he was a senior advisor to the United Nations Assistant Secretary General for Human Resources Management, where his work focused on change management within the context of UN reform. Please welcome Mr. Andrew Russell. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be amongst all of you today. Thank you, Reverend Professor Dr. Karad and all of the colleagues for the opportunity to meet you all today and to be a part of this event and today's panel. I will, since we do want to respect the time, I will jump right in. The description, it was quite good in terms of saying what I used to do. Right now, I'm just, I'm a peace builder. That's what I am. And I'd like to share a little bit of my thoughts about how important the Sustainable Development Goals are. I was privileged to be a part of the design, along with millions and millions of other people around the world who created these goals together. Indians, people from all walks of life, and they're very, very important. And I want to speak a little bit about why that is. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, and it's disabled. If somebody, I don't know if anyone could allow me to share my screen.
May I please request the technical team to give sharing rights to sir?
Let me try again. I'll just wait another second. Yeah, just to say that I was privileged to be a part of the design. And what's really important to bear in mind is that these were not goals that were cooked up inside of just governments or inside of the UN. This truly was a hugely participatory process involving millions of people, including many, many Indians from all walks of life. Your DNA is in these goals. They belong to all of us. Now let me try again and see if I can share. No, unfortunately, I cannot share my screen. That's a shame.
Just hold on for a moment. We'll get you that. We will not deduct your minute. Don't worry. We'll give you an extra minute.
Oh, thank you so much.
While we wait to get the screen sharing, just for everyone, Andrew has been really supportive and has helped us organize this conference. As well as when Senior Dr. Karad sir joins, Andrew, I would request later on for you to spend 2 minutes and express what you felt when you saw the dome for the first time, the dome video. But I think now you have got the screen sharing rights, so you may proceed.
Oh, I've got it going. Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness, yes, the dome. Wow, that was a wonderful video. So let me, there we go. Yes, let me jump right in. This photo is from one of the many activities that this was all about voting for peace, SDG 16, a campaign that we ran in Kosovo when I was still there. So why is it important to talk about this right now? Because as we know, the coronavirus, it affects everybody. It affects every person in community. And as the Secretary General says, it has exposed and exacerbated the existing inequalities and injustices. Not only that, this is so urgent for us to be talking about this because the global effort in all the decades of progress that we have had on poverty, on climate change, on healthcare have been reversed so much due to this pandemic. Just briefly, and this is according to the UN's own Sustainable Development Goals report, looking at different aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. Well, we're expecting instead of fewer people living in extreme poverty, we're expecting 71 million more people to be pushed back into extreme poverty this year, the very first rise in global poverty since 1998. We estimate that half the global workforce will be significantly affected. And of course, those who are already living in poverty, including in slums, are especially at risk from the effects of COVID. Those who already lack access to healthcare, lack access to education, women, children, older persons, persons with disabilities, migrants and refugees are the most effective. And of course, the school closures have been significant in keeping 90% of students out of school. And so many students around the world do not have the ability to engage virtually as we are doing today. As more families fall into extreme poverty, the children in these poor communities are much greater risk of many, many problems. And of course, climate change is increasing much faster than anticipated. At the same time, we are seeing it. We're seeing the increase in climate change related disasters as well. And we know that we need the goals more than ever in order to fight climate change. It's our last chance. So what does this have to do with partnerships? Because of course, there you are in India, I'm sitting here in France, I was in Kosovo, I was in New York. We have to work together. We cannot achieve these sustainable development goals. We cannot end extreme poverty, let alone reverse some of the negative facts of the pandemic. We cannot, this is our last chance to do something about climate change. We can't do it without partnerships and without coming together internationally. And of course, what we're seeing, unfortunately, is a lot of rising political tensions in different parts of the world and widening inequalities. And this has been reinforced by COVID-19, which could threaten our global peace and security. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, first of all, as my colleague said, Professor Basu, they belong to everyone. These are not government objectives. These belong to everyone, and they will only be achieved if we all see our role, individuals, government, civil society, private sector, and yes, universities. We must assume a collective responsibility. This is not a United Nations project. It's essentially the future of humankind. That's what we're talking about. So what to do? Well, first of all, don't wait. As individuals, as universities, we need to volunteer. We need to volunteer to either lead or support the effort and define the issues that are most important to you, to find the issues, to find the goal, which of the 17 goals, and to find your allies. And I think potentially there are some good ones on this panel, but also in this World Parliament. There are allies, of course. You can join an existing global or regional and national campaign, or there's absolutely no reason why you cannot create your own campaigns. And there are different ways that you can go about. Certainly don't wait for the United Nations. And I spent 30 years with them. So let me tell you, do not wait for us. Keep them informed though. You never know. You never know, because the United Nations still has a very important role to play here in India and across the world in terms of helping to bring these different efforts for the goals together. Here's one India-based initiative that you may wish to contact. UNDP, where I used to work, has something called a wonderful thing called an accelerator lab. And this is all about helping with the support of different partners, including German cooperation and others, helping you and others to accelerate your efforts to combat extreme poverty, whatever it is, to combat climate change, whatever it is the goal that you wish to work on. So these are just some ideas, some other good resources. There's out there the Global Goals campaigns that you can learn about. UN also keeps a list of all the different campaigns. As I said, you can create your own campaign. There are all sorts of very specific partnership-based resources out there. For example, this is one, partnership resources for private sector as well. I would be happy to work with those of you who are leading on this effort outside of the World Parliament. I would be happy to speak more of this in the future. But in the meantime, I'll just end with this. Everything we do during and after this crisis, again, going back to the Secretary General, must be with a strong focus on building more equal, inclusive, and sustainable economies and societies that are more resilient in the face of these pandemics. Because who knows, this may not be our last one. Climate change and the many other global challenges we face. And I'll stop here for now. And I'm looking forward to listening to the other panel members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such a thoughtful presentation. Now we have the privilege to have amongst us Shri Mandar Apte, Executive Director at Cities for Peace International Association for Human Values, Los Angeles, California. Sir is a former Shell game changer who used to manage Shell's impact investment portfolio on social innovations that create shared value, both social impact and business value. After working at Shell for 17 years, Sir is a visiting scholar at George Mason and manages the business for Peace Innovation Lab that provides innovation consulting to international brands to finding out novel ways to make the peace profitable. He also manages a non-profit peace consultancy, Cities for Peace, that actively promotes peace in cities across the world. He is a Shishya of Sri Ravi Shankar, Art of Living. For nearly 2 decades, Sir has taught leadership programs using meditation practices for the Art of Living Foundation. Please welcome Shri Mandar Apte. Over to you, sir.
Welcome, Mandar. Welcome.
Nice to see you, Darshan, after many years. Professor Basu, thank you for the kind introduction. Can you make me a host so I can
Yes,
share?
I shall request the technical team to give the sharing rights to Sir.
So, is Dr. Karad here? I don't see him. But
He's there without the video. He's there without the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling very grateful for about a year ago. He had hosted me in his office. Dr. Karad, namaskar. Your blessings are important to people like me. We have just started. You have been holding the space for decades. I'm a disciple of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji, the guru of the Art of Living Foundation. And for the last 2 decades, I've been teaching the Art of Living programs in the US. Spent 17 years working at Shell, a small oil company. And my focus has been on investments in solving social problems and creating a return on investment, because that's how you can keep it sustainable. 2 years ago, we were invited by the city of Los Angeles to see how we can help them reduce violence in the city of LA. So that's the basis of starting this peace consultancy with my guru's blessings. And the problem in cities, especially cities like Los Angeles, is there is a cost to violence. And just like there is a business for war, a business for drugs, what we are looking into is the business case for peace. And so in the city of Los Angeles, per homicide, per murder, the city taxpayer spends anywhere between $1 million to $20 million. And for those of you who are, students and on the geek side of things, if you just Google for the cost of violence calculator, there is a very interesting calculator that you can plug in numbers, and estimate the cost of violence in your city. So with this backdrop, I was invited by the Chief of Police. Law enforcement in cities like Los Angeles are focused primarily on catching the bad guys, right? That's what police supposed to do. And that is also a way to promote peace, is by reducing violence. What we do is we do the opposite side of the coin. We are actively promoting peace. What does that mean? It is based on the philosophy of India that if you want to change the world, communities have to change. If you want to change communities, individuals have to be transformed. So this way of thinking is based on where does violence begin? So where does violence begin? Violence begins in our mind, in our feelings, in our thoughts. And if you're not able to manage that, it percolates into violence in our speech and violence in our actions. So that is where we apply the Vedic tradition and the philosophy of India, that individual transformation can create community change, can create global transformation. Similar to the same vision as Dr. Karad was saying of the saints and the tradition of India. So what we did in the city of Los Angeles, we went to the gangs. So I personally walked on the streets of Los Angeles, and I brought this awareness about trauma healing to members of the gangs. And then I went to the police departments and I brought them on board on the need for trauma relief for law enforcement, because their job is not very easy. So in the spirit of healing from their trauma is where I created all sides to come together, because all sides have trauma. Now, the interesting thing of trauma is that we judge our trauma. My trauma is $50, your trauma is only $5, right? So as long as we don't judge each other and we create the space where we can come to heal, what I discovered is we are all the same. Just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I don't have life events that I have pain in my life. And the same is true when people discover that law enforcement, victims of violence, and gang members, we are all sharing the same human consciousness. If we can elevate our consciousness, then we can not only heal ourselves from the trauma, but we can become ambassadors of peace and nonviolence. So violence is not just in LA, it is all over the world. It has different flavors, starting from suicides, domestic abuse, all the way up to global terrorism. And I think the Indian philosophy, Vedic philosophy, does have the secrets to give people a new way of living. I think that is where I'm fully aligned with the mission vision of Peace University. Peace needs to be taught. Even though it is our nature, I think it needs to be taught. And what needs to be taught is actually how do you manage your negative emotions? So what do you do when you are angry, when you are jealous, when you are sad, when you are frustrated? How does one healthily manage that state of mind? I think that is the education that institutions like WPU need to incorporate. And I'll just show you a 4-minute video of my work that will speak for itself. So I'm just going to share my screen.
I'm an ex-gang member, so I was bred into violence. It was terrible around here, because that's
Mandar,
what
we cannot see it. We cannot see your screen, Mandar.
when someone did something wrong to me, my reaction was to.
Sir, the screen has not been shared. May I please request the technical team to give Sir the sharing rights?
I think he has the sharing right. Mandar, you just, the screen is not being shared. Yes, now it is.
Yes, sir.
I'm an ex-gang member, So I was bred into violence. It was terrible around here, you know, because that's what we live for, violence.
And we just knew violence. When someone did something wrong to me, my reaction was to do something violent.
In collaboration with the Los Angeles Police Department and the Mayor's Office for Gang Reduction and Youth Development, the Cities for Peace initiative of the Art of Living Foundation and the International Association for Human Values facilitated the Nonviolence Ambassador Certification Program for the Harvard Park neighborhood in South Los Angeles that had experienced high rates of violence in the past. We invited LAPD police officers, community members, and former gang members who worked as community intervention activists to participate in the program.
It's like the weight is being lifted off your back when you come from this experience. We carry a heavy load when we do community intervention work, and this lightens that load 100%.
Now my reaction is to forgive and say, you know what, maybe I can help him. Maybe that person is just having a bad day.
The program empowered these participants with profound breathing and meditation techniques to reduce stress, heal from trauma, and improve resilience.
We have learned that if we have peace within, we can definitely help others to get to the same place that we're in, which is peace without. And that is the extension of us, our communities, our homes, our facilities, our organizations.
Through interactive discussions and group processes, the program helped build strong bonds between LAPD officers and community members.
But one of the most important factors that I found is the interaction that I have with the residents and residents that live in this community that are experiencing the day-to-day violence that occurs here was one of the most phenomenal life-changing experiences for me, because they saw firsthand that we're human. Taking this uniform off, we face similar challenges.
Participants were trained to facilitate an introductory module on nonviolence so that they can share the benefits of the program and become ambassadors of nonviolence in their communities and neighborhoods.
I'm a role model whether I want to be or not. So I got people following me down the negative path. So let me make that change and be that positive influence and provide tools for myself, because I can't change nobody else. So that's why I chose to do the nonviolence ambassador training program.
Today, supporting graduates and people that went through the 8 weeks. I'm watching you guys today interact. I have gang interventionists, talking to officers, talking to people from the community, and it's working. Right?
Are y'all ready to do some rain?
Yeah.
Ready to do some rain? Let's do this, man. This is what we love.
So bring it to next. I just want to let you know that I came up here to support you. To me and my brother, but we walk this path together, side by side.
Because we did it here, I think we can do it anywhere.
So whenever you do something in Los Angeles, people talk about it. So we were featured on the NBC, ABC primetime news. And we are doing this program now actively in many communities since, as you know, last 5 months has been very intense with social riots, and it's humbling. I think these efforts that you're putting together need to be scaled up. I would love to do something in partnership with WPU, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such an enthralling session. Now we have the privilege to have amongst us Mr. Marius Antonio, International Development Academic and Practitioner, Nicosia, Cyprus. He is a scholar and an activist who believes that access to good education contributes towards a reduction of poverty, the increase of opportunity for a better quality of life, and the strengthening of a civil society that creates democratic and peaceful societies. He earned his PhD in education from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. As a recipient of the Rotary Peace Fellowship at UNC, Marius earned a master's in school administration and educational leadership and a certificate in international studies in peace and conflict resolution from the Duke UNC Rotary Peace Center. Beyond his academic work, his passion in peace education is reflected through his work with several NGOs in Cyprus, where he volunteered and worked towards building peace on the island. It gives me immense pleasure to announce that he is one of the youngest peace builder in Cyprus. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Marius Antonio. Over to you, sir.
Welcome, Marius. Welcome.
Dear friends, thank you very much for the invitation. Greetings from Cyprus. Yes, at some point I was a very young peace builder, but now I'm a young peace builder with many years of experience. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I am a teacher. I am an academic. I do work with children. I do work with people across both sides of the Cyprus divide. I work to bring together Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot students, and we hold together peace building sessions. Now, for about 99% of the cases, people who live on the divided and conflict-ridden island of Cyprus get the opportunity to meet someone from the other side for the first time in their lives during the workshops that we do, along with this program called Imagine, held by the Home for Cooperation and the Association for Historical Dialogue and Research. The numbers have been growing, and unfortunately, like everything else in the world, our program has had to kind of take a halt due to the coronavirus. In addition, the last 3 years, I've been working with I, along with 3 more friends, started a Sistema Cyprus project based on El Sistema, the project that comes out from Venezuela. And we now have an orchestra of about 200 children playing violins, violas, cellos, double basses, and we're adding a wind instrument, plus percussion, and a choir. This is children who are in Cyprus because of migration, because of refugehood, and people who have just had to flee from somewhere where it was not safe any longer. Well, these are the things I do on a daily basis, and it gives me great pleasure to do it, to know that I'm trying to build a better local place. But since this conversation also has to do with global partnerships, I'd like to take the rest of my time to discuss what I see as huge challenges ahead of us in terms of SDG 17, and share some of the international networks. As Andrew mentioned earlier, one of the best things to do these days is focus on collaborations, because the power of the people and the civil society needs to step up and fill in what will be emptied out from what I'll be speaking about right now, which is ODA and other forms of financial assistance that happen internationally. So the pandemic will bring, and this is, I suspect anyone who has done some research with the numbers have figured out that a new massive economic recession will inevitably be hitting the world. One of the first things that will be, any country will cut will most likely be its ODA funds. Sustainable Development Goal 17, one of the major things it promotes is the international partnership, also on the level of a financial partnership, on the level of bringing together funds to support economic development for all the countries around the world, and of course the ones that need it the most. It's projected that the level of international ODA will be dropping by 15 to 20%, and this is only based on current data. What if another lockdown happens? This might be even worse. I mean, as we all know, this is only one level of a country's, especially developing countries, income for growth. Another one is foreign direct investment, which also is projected to drop. I read the UN source, perhaps up to 40%, which for in developing countries, this means a further reduction in their share of the world economy, and tragically, another huge push to the bottom. These are things that should be alarming to everyone, and or at least to everyone who is involved in this area, but to every person in the world who cares about our global society. The moment I heard that coronavirus reached an indigenous tribe in the Amazon, it was basically the biggest realization for mankind that we are one. I mean, there is no way to hide anything in this globalized world. We are all in it financially and health-wise. And the same way that we need a huge partnership in order to fight against this virus, we also need a great collaboration to fight against inequality, poverty, and all the other negative things that create the chasms between the people of this world. I mentioned earlier how these things are dropping, and by these things I meant ODA, and I also meant foreign direct investment. And since most countries will not be in the wonderful position to support their local economies, it means that a lot of what has been happening needs to take place if it's not to be removed completely. It has to take part by people. People need to step up. People need to fill in the blanks, the empty spots that all this lack of resources will bring. Therefore, as Andrew said, people should step up and volunteer. People should step up and campaign. People should step up and support, whether that is by contributing time or by contributing kindness and perhaps some funds. But if we drop everything, then we will be in great danger of going steps and years behind. Now, regarding partnerships, I will be talking about a few things that I've been involved with, which I hope that they will continue to work throughout these years. I mean, the post-COVID years. And I'll talk about networks that perhaps people, students, everyone would like to make a note of. One is the Gather Fellowship. It's a project through Seeds of Peace International, which is a network of people who do great work on different peace projects around the world. The second partnership I'd like to talk about today is the Rotary Peace Fellowship, and I am an alumnus of the program, so is my dear friend Darshan. There is a growing network of Rotary Peace Fellows who again work all around the world, and to be very honest, could have done a better job even to collaborate on a number of projects happening everywhere around. I'd like to talk about the Global Education Network of Europe, which is a collaboration between all countries of the EU and a large number of countries who are part of the Council of Europe, who have formed a global education network dealing with issues of peace education, human rights education, education for sustainable development, citizenship education, and development education. Finally, I'd like to bring your attention to another couple of projects. One is Bridge 47, which is a global effort to bring forward SDG 4.7 on global education, to increase global education access to global education in all countries around the world and push for this goal. And for friends who are outside the European Union, I'd like to bring your attention to the EU Aid Volunteers Initiative, which is a fantastic program that can bring EU volunteers to non-EU countries for positions from 2 up to 18 months of a paid internship. In fact, the European Union will cover the funds for this volunteer. So these are great programs that I do not suspect will lose their funding, but it's means to increase global collaborations, to bring people closer to each other, near and far, and try to do our best as peace builders, as civil society activists, to make the bad things that the COVID pandemic has brought, well, end in a better note, or at least let us not feel the impact that is coming as hard as it could otherwise be. I thank you very much once again for the invitation, and I wish you health and safety.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs. Today, we also have the privilege to have amongst us Honorable Ms. Julia Roish. Julia Roish, President Partners Global, represents a next generation of leadership in the international development field as the CEO of one of the most preeminent global organizations dedicated to innovative governance solutions for development. Ms. Roish provides technical and strategic leadership within the global network of affiliate centers together with an office in Brussels, and represents the organization within the foreign assistance community with a personal commitment to multilateralism with global cooperation. She's an attorney licensed in the state of Maryland with many years of diverse international management experience and practical field work. She's an expert in good governance, rule of law, and conflict resolution, and has provided systems design, strategic planning, cooperative advocacy, program management throughout the world. Julia served for 2 years as a country director for the American Bar Association Rule of Law Initiative in Belgrade, Serbia. She is also a recognized expert on community justice and dispute resolution in Colombia. Prior to her international work, Julia served as the Alternative Dispute Resolution Coordinator for both the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, acting as the main architect and promoter of new workplace dispute resolution services in both the institutions. She previously served as the chair of the international section of the Association for Conflict Resolution and as a member of the editorial board of Conflict Resolution Quarterly. She is currently on the board of directors of the Alliance for Peace Building. However, due to the difference in our time, she has sent us a pre-recorded session of her speech. I shall request the technical team to kindly play the pre-recorded speech of Ms. Julia Roish.
Dear colleagues at the World Peace Dome, thank you so much for the invitation to participate in your conference and this conversation. And I'm making this video greeting from North Carolina in the United States. And I'm sorry that I can't be with you live as you're having these important conversations. The time difference is a little bit too much here on the East Coast of the United States. My name is Julia Roig, and I represent an organization called Partners Global, a peace-building non-for-profit and network. And we work with affiliate partners centers around the world, centers for change and conflict management. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary, so we've been around for quite some time. And we operate on a bit of a franchise model. So there's a Partners Yemen, Partners Colombia, Partners in Nigeria, Partners Georgia, and I represent the original founder of the network in DC, but we're just one member of a global network. And I'm so thrilled to be able to talk about the Sustainable Development Goal 17 within this important conference on science and philosophy, because of course this is the partnership goal. And because for us, the partnership goal is the most important one. It's in our name, partners. The way that we work on the development challenges that face the world, the way that we collaborate with unlikely bedfellows is what we like to say when we're building bridges with those who don't necessarily see problems in the same way that we do. That's actually how we consider we're building a more peaceful and democratic world. So what does partnership look like in practice when it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals? From the perspective of a peace-building non-for-profit, a global network, very diverse global network. And there's a couple of aha moments that I've had in the last couple of years as we really have seen new challenges unfolding to our work. Increased polarization, the increased impacts of climate change, the way that we're not able to come together as a global community to deal with something like this pandemic. And what does our community of peace builders have to offer this moment when we're trying to establish more peace builders or more partnerships for achieving the development goals? And so here's what I've been thinking about the most lately. How we talk about our work and how we frame peace, how we create a narrative of peace matters to how we're going to be inviting new partnerships into our world. We've been doing some research most recently in the United States about how do people think about peace and peace building, a general audience, because we maybe take for granted that peace is a good thing. Of course it is. And yet, when we say the words peace and peace building, what's activated in somebody's mind that is making sense of that issue? So then they can figure out a way to partner with us. And we've found that, for example, when we activate the part of understanding that is an individual sense of peace, and Martin Luther King Jr. in the US, for example, talked about peace starting within, moving to your family, moving to your community, and then moving to the world. What we found is the neuroscience, at least in the culture of the United States, activates a very passive idea about peace and peace building when we talk mostly about inner peace and peace building and then try and make a link to a very active building of peace that requires an infrastructure within a United Nations framework, which requires all of us to be partnering together. And so how we talk about our work and how we think about the brain science of sense making, so that our audiences and our potential partners understand us, we kind of need to get our act together within whatever context and culture we're working in to think about how we represent and talk about our work. That was one aha moment. The other aha moment that I've had in this last year is the tensions that we're seeing more and more between a rights-based approach to change. We are justifiably worried about human rights in the world and how we advocate for those rights, the rights of those who might be marginalized, those voices who are not heard. And we know that we're going to build peace by addressing those grievances. So goal 16 within the SDGs of having rule of law, of having peace building infrastructure, of having transparency and well-functioning governments so that we can deal with the inequalities of this world, need an infrastructure of advocacy organizations that are also working for that goal. Unfortunately, the way that we are doing our advocacy, because I work with a lot of activists around the world, I think sometimes in our outrage and in our passion for the issues that we're advocating for, we're increasing polarization, and we're not allowing others to see themselves in the solutions that we might want to see when it comes to more equitable, fair societies. And so we at Partners have been talking a lot about, well, what would a restorative advocacy approach look like? How can we marry a human rights agenda with a peace building agenda? And so that every time we're working for change in the world, we're doing so in a way that is thinking about being restorative of relationships and also aware of our own cognitive biases. We see the world a certain way, we see issues a certain way, and that's why the partnership goal is so important. We need different perspectives on these problems, whether it's a business community, academics, members of nonprofit communities and community leaders and government leaders. We all have to be coming together in new ways. And I think when we take for granted that the rest of our potential partners see the world the same way we do, that's of course when conflict emerges and we're not as productive in those partnerships. And so we're really committed to a restorative advocacy approach. And then finally, I would just say that, partnerships take time. We have to invest in those relationships, and we always need a facilitator to help us to broker and facilitate those partnerships. I think sometimes we put people together. We think that they're going to uncover those common goals, or those common goals should be evident, and then we're all going to be really productive. And so Partners Global and our network is really committed to very sophisticated facilitation skills so that when we do find those unlikely bedfellows, there's a facilitative stakeholder committed to working with those groups to make sure that those partnerships are successful and productive. So once again, please, we look forward to continuing to try and find ways to partner with all of you. I'll include all of my contact information with the organizers of the conference. And on behalf of the Alliance for Peace Building, I'm the chairman of the board of the Alliance that's here based in Washington, D.C. I hope that you'll also consider getting involved with other spaces where peace building organizations are coming to work with each other. We're having our annual conference in December, so please look up the Alliance for Peace Building website as well and join in the multiple conversations of all of us that are working for peace and the development goals. And again, thank you so much for the invitation. I've really appreciated being a part of the conversation, and I look forward to staying in touch. And from the beautiful sunset of North Carolina.
That was indeed such an insightful video. Thank you so much, ma'am. Before opening the house open for the question answer session, may I please request the team to confirm whether Professor Omid Wali has joined the session. I think he's facing some technical glitch because of which he is unable to join. So can I get a confirmation regarding that?
We could not get him.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
I'm from Jalalabad, Afghanistan.
Yes.
But we are unable to connect him. We may go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Before declaring the house open for the question answer session, I'm sure Darshan sir might have quite a few questions in his mind, which I'm sure he will be willing to ask. Over to you, Darshan sir.
Thank you, Professor Basu. I actually don't have questions. I just have, actually, I have one question and one comment. Marius, for people who are here, until I met you, I was not aware of what this island of Cyprus was, what was the conflict in Cyprus. We are very well aware of the Kashmir conflict. We are very well aware of the Indo-China conflict and some other conflicts. Can you quickly, in 2 minutes, help us understand what the conflict in Cyprus is all about? Number one. Yes, Marius.
Thank you, Darshan. In 2 minutes, I'm sure I'll have some time to spare at the end. Um, it's essentially the Cyprus conflict is a conflict that was created in the passing of Cyprus from the colonial British times to its independent days. However, this took place during the height of the Cold War, and the island, which is its majority population, Cypriots of Greek descent, meaning people of Greek descent, we are in a clash ideologically and ethnically speaking about the future of the island with the minority of people of Turkish descent on the island. Therefore, in the post-colonial times, even though there was this claim for the right of people for self-determination and unification of the community of the island with the motherlands, their respective motherlands, um, Britain and the international community of the West at the time could not afford to have any tension between Greece and Turkey, which were both NATO allies in the time of the Cold War, and they couldn't have Greece and Turkey fighting against each other. So Cyprus eventually got its independence, but people here, nationalists on both sides, could not settle with it, and eventually intercommunal clashes resulted to a coup and then a military intervention by Turkey, and following a complete geographical and population division of the island. So an exchange of populations was agreed, and so one every 3 persons on the island is an internally displaced person, and the island is still divided. Despite the fact that Cyprus is now an EU member state, the EU has this land that is being occupied by Turkey, which is also a country that wishes to join the Union. And as you may imagine, this creates a lot of complications for the future of the territory in general. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Marius. Over to you, Professor Basu.
Thank you, sir. We have a few questions from the attendees section, and two people have raised their hands. First, I shall request Mr. Vijay Naugan to ask his question. Over to you, Mr. Vijay.
I think the question will be typed out and you will have to read it from the chat panel.
So I think y'all will have to type the question in the chat box so that it's convenient to ask the questions.
Sure.
All the attendees, if you're having any question, kindly type your questions in the chat box so that I can convey it to the guest.
Santosh, you are unable to see the question. There seems some technical issue.
Yeah, there is some technical issue because of which I think he's unable to type. We also have Ms. Sheila Chakravarti, who is willing to ask question. Ms. Chakravarti, if you have any question, kindly type it in the chat box so that I can convey it to our honorable guest of the session.
It seems we are having some technical difficulty.
We are having some technical issues because
while
of which.
While we wait to join that, I think we have Honorable Sir with us, who is here to speak. I think we should proceed if there's problem with Q&A.
Yes, I think we're having some problem asking the question.
May I ask a question to Andrew?
Yes, sir, please, of course.
It's an honor. I've just been browsing your LinkedIn, and it's an honor that you're on the panel with us. My experience of working with bureaucratic organizations, one of them was Shell, where I used to work, is large organizations often are scared of any disruptive thinking. And so I was blessed to be part of an outfit that has a mandate of disruptive innovation. Is this a thought within a structure like the UN? Because my experience last 2-3 years of dealing with the UN and the SDGs and the UNDP and all kinds of like tags and titles is no capacity to even think of innovation, forget about disruptive innovation. So could you guide us, how do you set up or is there a setup while you were planning the SDGs?
Thank you. And I would return the appreciation and the compliment to all of the panel members. It's been really wonderful to virtually connect with you all. And I'm looking forward to having future conversations with all of you. Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good question. I mean, the easy, answer I could say is, well, guess what? I don't work there anymore because of what you just said. And not only that, the realization of exactly what you said came to me during a yoga retreat 4 years ago. So I am appreciative to India in particular for bringing yoga to the world, because it was in that retreat that I was sitting there and I thought to myself, I don't want to be that outlier in the organization who is instead of trying to serve the interests of my internal organization, whether it's my unit or my whatever level of bureaucracy. And you're absolutely right. I call it organizational pathology. We create organizations and then we start to find ways to conserve and increase their power, and it's quite sad. And the UN is not unlike any other global or national or local organization. It's susceptible to that. The good news, it's the good news, is that I navigated 30 years there, and not always, but sometimes I could find pockets of creativity and innovation. Individual leadership is the key. Individual leader, finding and aligning myself with individual leaders within the big bureaucratic apparatus who are not afraid of change, and who are not afraid of being humble, and we can have more of a conversation about this, separately. But yeah, take heart. And the reason why I pointed out this One UNDP initiative is because it's a very sincere effort that they're trying to take in UNDP to say, within our organization, just like you had in Shell, within our organization, we're going to have this other group where the old rules don't apply anymore. You just do whatever you want and try and figure out what works. And we'll call it SDG Accelerator Labs. So we can talk more about that. So that's the good news.
Thank you, Andrew.
Sure.
This is a complete offline conversation that can go on for hours. Yes, thank you.
Before proceeding with the session, can I ask Mr. Andrew Russell, because I'm really eager to know this, what was your experience for the first time when you saw the World Peace Dome? Can you share that moment with us when for the first time you encountered something like that?
Actually, Andrew saw the dome video, not the dome. But Karat sir, I just wanted him to share this because this was a life-touching experience, the way you usually describe. And this was purely virtually. I was introduced to Andrew a few months ago, formally for some UN work. And I happened to share with him the dome video. And Andrew had one of the reactions I've seen. So Andrew, please, sorry to put you on the spot, but sir is
well, that's easy to say. I cried. That's all. No, it's really wonderful what you've done, and obviously it builds on decades of very hard work that I'm only just beginning to understand. But the fact that you've created this physical space, and yes, it gives me chills to watch the video. I look forward to seeing the dome in person as soon as I can. But I think it's yes, it's a lovely essentially it touched my heart, and I knew that I was leaving the UN for something, and now I'm starting to understand what I'm leaving it for. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience. Now, before proceeding with the session, I'll just make a last effort to know that whether the question answer session, like, is it the technical glitch, has it been solved? Like, is it working fine now? Can anyone from technical team confirm me with this?
It is enabled. Enabled it is.
Okay. So, Ms. Sheila Chakravarti, can you please ask with your question? I think there might be some technical issue from her end, because of which she is unable to ask the question.
No, she can type over there. No problem.
Yes, you can, Ms. Chakravarti, you can type the question in the chat box session.
Or do you want us to take her on panel? You want?
Yeah, if we allow her to talk, I think then she might.
No, it's better they type for the sanctum of the event. So let's have question time. In the meanwhile, I think Professor Basu, we could have Senior Sir respond to Andrew. And
yes, definitely. Now I shall request Reverend Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Korar, founder and chief patron of Mayors MIT Pune and president of MIT World Peace University, to share his valuable thoughts. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Darshan, Milind, and the madam for taking this very crucial topic of partnerships for the goals. I would say international partnership for sustainable world peace goals. That will be my reading. I think I have heard Mr. Andrew Russell, Mr. Dr. Mandar Apte, and Dr. Marius Antonio, and Mrs. Julia Rowe, CEO from Washington, D.C. Friends, it has been a very wonderful experience for me to understand my own duty a little bit better. Some comments were made by Mr. Russell about the dome itself. Friend, let me make a comment before I forget. This is not a physical structure. I am not the maker. I am not the doer, but I have been an instrument. I come from a very small farmer's family, from a small village, working as a teacher. I don't want to elaborate much why and who gave me this courage, conviction, and the strength and the determination to make this dome. There's a long story behind, but there is a divine intervention which has given me this vision, the insight, without using any architects, the huge machines, the contractors, or the big firms to make this. This whole thing has come up. It's not an ego. It's not certainly, but certainly a matter of pride. I can only tell you one gentleman with Mr. Ashok Joshi, who is in last city of Salt Lake. I had the fortune of meeting that World Parliament of Religions on the lines of the World Parliament in Chicago. I was one of the keynote speakers, but I still remember there were about 10,000 delegates from the world over. But when I uttered these words of wisdom, of union of science and religion, of spirituality alone will help to bring harmony and peace to mankind. And a few words were spoken, but I still remember it was quite a unique experience for me. to experience about 10,000 people rising from their seats and appreciating not my words, the words of Swami Vivekananda. Milind Pandey was accompanying me. Still, I remember. Why I'm telling this, because I have been reminded on this occasion, especially when I heard this Mr. Russell and Apte and the other gentlemen, I am reminded of the Second World Parliament, which I had the fortune to organize in Geneva, Switzerland. The first parliament was organized in the year 1996. For the first time, possibly, I was very curious to know from the world of science, religion, and philosophy, this very great saint in whose name I'm trying to work and promote, not because he's an Indian. He has been one of the greatest saint, but a scientist too. And I would like to just show you, friends, this small booklet which I have here in front of me. This is the book I have been showing every now and then, again and again, because I don't know much about anything else. But this booklet says the 9 universal secrets, the 9 universal principles, universal, not Indian, not American, not Chinese, but the universal principles and the secrets and the laws of Mother Nature, which have been revealed 720 years back, not 720, 730 years back, by this boy, which you can see here, who was at 16 years of age that time. I'm not telling this something, but being a teacher, being a person involved in this mission of science and spiritual comfort of life, going from the philosophers and Dhaneshwara to Albert Einstein, the Penrose, you take the names. Friends, remember, after getting fully convinced about the words of wisdom spoken by these great philosophers sent of India, that time the question was, because I had organized the first World Philosophers Meet, because people never called them as philosophers at all. They said they are the religious people. They are the men of Hinduism. They are the men of Christianity. The Jesus Christ, Gautam Buddha, Guru Nanak, Prophet Muhammad, you take the names. These great prophets have established the religions at that time. Buddhism, 2,500 years. Jainism, 2,600 years. Jesus Christ, 2,000 years. Islam, 1,400 years. Hinduism, we don't know, 5,000-10,000 years. It's a Vedic tradition. What I'm saying, friends, remember, these religions have been established by some prophets, some great men who are the makers of the world history. They are the makers of the world history. And they have been giving some rituals which are the close relations with the spiritual comfort of life. The question which we have been discussing about the partnership, the sustainable goals, I'm just reminded of one small brief lines which were written in the year 1998. Fortunately for me, it was Mr. Sampath Kumar from the United Nations who was present. He was my close friend Vijay Rao and Mr. Sampath Kumar. And I had to read at the end of this concluding session of the Second World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy, the Second World Philosophers Meet, because I was to know myself whether these great saints like Sant Dhaneshwar, Sant Tukaram, or Sant Francis of Assisi, are they really the great philosophers or not? But there was a time, remember friends, the world never accepted that they were calling it as a men of religion. And they were not supposed to be the men of philosophy at all. Like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, Kant, Hegel, Spinoza, you have a list of them, great philosophers. But saints were never considered to be the philosophers. And I was very curious to know. I used to ask my teacher, who was a great philosopher of the whole world. He said, what studies you have made? Do you know who is a philosopher? What is a philosophy? And then I had the fortune of organizing the first World Philosophers Meet in the year of 1996 on the 700th year of the Sanjeevan Samadhi of Sant Dhaneshwara. 700 delegates from China to Russia to America, Middle East, every part of the world they came. Murad Wahabba came. The great people from Islam, every scholar came. And finally, at the end of the session, after knowing that, you know it, friends, that the greatest people of the world, there was a time in the year of 1600 years, 16th century, the concept was so wrong, I tell you. The people from Vatican, I'm not criticizing anybody, not criticizing any religion, but they had gone to the extent of sailing the passes, the entry passes to the heaven. Can you imagine? Such a wrong concept. And it was the great people of those times. Martin Luther was the great gentleman who told the world this is completely wrong, baseless. And it was Sant Tukaram from Maharashtra, India, who said the thinking of hell and heaven is a foolish thinking. Absolutely. Why I'm telling, friends, remember, because this was the search which I started in the year 1996. And today we have come to the conclusion that the whole world community gathered together last year, and they confirmed finally that the greatest saints and sages and seers of the whole world, those who really speak the words of wisdom, the real nature of the universe itself, the principles and the truths, the secrets, like Sant Jnaneshwara, they are all the great philosophers. And Sant Jnaneshwara was declared to be the greatest philosopher of the whole world, not because he is an Indian, he is a Hindu, or he is from India. Not at all. But all the greatest scientists, the sages and seers, scholars, thinkers, philosophers, men of science and spirituality, like even Ravi Shankarji, Apte, what's your name? I think the gentleman.
Mandar.
Thank you so much for your comments. You have been doing a good job. I think what I saw in Los Angeles, what you have been doing is something very unique. We have said that finally the religious scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, Holy Quran, Holy Bible, Holy Tripitaka, Holy Guru Granth Sahib, they are nothing but the life guiding scriptures, how to live and how not to live, art of living. Apte, remember, these are the very wonderful words which really make me really feel happy that I have understood at least something. And we are coming here together. And when I heard some gentlemen from Cyprus, the gentleman Mr. Russell, and the other speakers in the panel, I am reminded of one line which I had really read in the year 1998. And thereafter I have been trying to tell some people, it is called as a fellowship. It's a fellowship. It's partnership. It's coming together, joining hands together, unifying the minds and unifying the hearts also. Man or dil ki baat hai, network karna. It says, it is said to be for all of us. It's called as a fellowship. It's not a religious text, remember, friends. It says, friends, we are the birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different tongues. We may believe in different religions. We may belong to different cultures. Yet, friends, we share the same home, the Mother Earth. Born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, breathing the same air, we must learn to progress together or miserably perish together. For a person can live individually but can only survive collectively. This is a quotation from Atharva Veda. It is not religious noting or a quotation. It gives a real message of how we all together, like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you have been saying world as one family. We have been Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Koham, Soham. So many words one word, but gives the most wonderful message of unifying the minds, joining hands together, to be partners together, because it's a need of the hour. On the background of coronavirus, possibly we have at least learned and the great people, especially for my friend United Nations. I tell you, if the United Nations really work together, using their power, strength, and everything that they possess, and try to control, they can bring some order to the whole of the humanity. But unfortunately, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not talking anything political. But let me tell you, I wrote the letter to Mr. Guterres. I wrote the letter to the chairman, the Security Council chief. I said it is high time for you to get up, rise above the political agenda, rat race, or the game which we are playing for supremacy. I think that time world may be still a little bit better, and possibly we may survive a little bit more. It is said by Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, who is not here in the panel now, but he told the world many times that humanity may not see the end of 21st century. If this pandemic like COVID or horrifying pandemic bigger than this comes and tries to engulf the whole of human race, we are all helpless. Everybody, whosoever is the president or the prime minister or the king or rich or the poor, why are we inviting this? We are doing some research, the biological research, the chemical research. We are developing some horrifying weapons. What for? Today, it is said, at least as far my information goes, it is said that the destructive strength or the capacity of all the weapons put together, the Americans, the Russians, the Chinese, even the Indians, the Pakistan, if they put together, they ruin, they can burn out the soul of the earth 10,000 times. What for we are making this? We are sitting on a ticking bomb. Some ignorant, I should not use that word, but foolish person can become the supreme commander and he triggers something. What will happen? It's very horrifying, let me tell you. And that's why this method of what art of living Ravi Shankarji is trying to tell. We all, you are very passionate. I can see. I heard every one of you. You have a tremendous passion and a feeling of doing something good for the whole of human race. This young gentleman from Cyprus, the United Nations member, or other members who have spoken just now, I think they speak really some passion and the words which they really mean it, doing something good for the society. Darshan, you have a duty. Deepak Apte,
yes, sir.
Ravi Chitnis, and our other gentleman.
Pandey, sir. Professor Pandey.
Santosh. Young team of ours, please understand their capacity, understand their strength, and let us join hands together for doing something a little bit better for the whole of the human race, the entire human mankind. Thank you so much, friends. We meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I shall request Associate Dean, Faculty of Sustainability Studies, MIT WPU, Dr. Joe Thomas, for the concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon and good evening. It's indeed a pleasure or a privilege to make few concluding remarks, but I am really overwhelmed by the challenge because I am speaking immediately after a great deal of expert in the subject, after their vast in-depth sharing of expertise in building peace from a global context. But let me acknowledge, today is a UN designated day for promoting non-violence, and today is also 150th birthday of Bapuji, and very appropriate day for selecting an international conference focusing on peace, spirituality, and science. I make 6 points as a concluding statement. Number one, peace building should be understood from a transdisciplinary perspective, from individual peace to the peace in the society. And peace is about partnership. Peace is a core of sustainable development, and peace is about promoting sustainable development. And again, most importantly, peace is about promoting justice, equity, and human rights. And in this context, let me also acknowledge that MIT World Peace University's effort for promoting world peace need to be refined and promoted as a model to the world to look at it. And universities has to play a very critical role in promoting world peace. And that's what MIT World Peace University is playing. But this needs to be amplified in the global context. And I thank everybody for listening to my concluding statements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I shall request Director, School of Corporate Innovation and Leadership, MIT ADT, Dr. Rahul More, to render a vote of thanks.
Good evening, all of you. On this auspicious first day of 6th World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy, we are truly honored to have such eminent panelists this evening who are active peace builders globally. On behalf of management, faculty, participants, and students, we thank you for enlightening us on very vibrant and important topic, SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. During our school days, teachers used to teach us a poem. Pardon me, it's in Hindi language. The lines goes like, निर्माणों के पावन युग में हम चरित्र निर्माण ना भूले, स्वार्थ साधना की आंधी में वसुधा का कल्याण ना भूले. In the quest of prosperity, development and growth, one should not forget the sustainability of the world and the Mother Earth. Very thoughtful insights given by Mr. Andrew Russell on building resilient future, especially gave a strong message. Global goals belong to everyone. Thank you, sir. Beautifully strengthened by Mr. Mandar Apte, how can we transform everyone for global transformation? This reminds me, even in our Bhagavad Gita, stated that Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evach. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities. It encourages everyone to walk on the path where Honorable Dr. Karad always motivates through his various activities. I extend my warm thanks to Dr. Marius Antonio, who alerted us on deeper challenges on economic development. My heartfelt thanks to Ms. Julia Roy for providing landscape on peace building, and she gave also a very nice message. Coming together is a new way, in new ways is imperative for partnerships. Now what I can say about our beloved founder, Honorable Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, many of us wonder how can he manifest such amazing and marvelous things with unwavering passion and energy. By the way, you want to know the secret? Ladies and gentlemen, answer lies in Bhagavad Gita. Santushtah satatam yogi yatatma drodhanishya mayarpita mano buddhihi yomat bhakta samay priya. If you have a highest determination, you can achieve all success and emerge as a winner in all situations. However, anyone can have highest determination. In addition to this, our founder has a unique competence where he surrenders his mind and intellect to ultimate truth and performs his all actions. I really thank our Honorable President of this World Parliament for guiding us on promoting culture of peace worldwide, and he gave today a message unifying minds. Finally, I thank organizing committee members, Dr. Milind Pandeji, Honorable Shri Rahul Karad sir, Honorable Dr. Mangesh Karad sir, for giving me this opportunity to play a little squirrel's role. Thank you, all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, before the conclusion of this session, I shall make a small announcement for tomorrow's session. It's a very special session in times of COVID-19. The theme of the session is the guardians of human survival and the angels of peace. Well, we all are aware of the current pandemic situation that we are in and the wonderful role that the doctors are playing. They are indeed the soldiers in white who are saving the lives of so many. So I shall request each one of you to be a participant in the session, which shall commence tomorrow, that is 3rd October 2020 at 10:30 a.m. With that, I shall render a heartfelt thanks and gratitude to all the panelists for the time and their inputs, and also to the attendees for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, Professor Basu, for your anchoring. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.